Everything changed in my life. After that year, I lived at Carlo's house. He knew 3 months before he died, as shown by a recorded video.
I'm ready to die.
I'm ready to die. And when he got to the hospital, he said, I'm not leaving here. Only to heaven. The priest heard his confession and anointed him. When the priest left, he found Mistress Antonia in the hallway, looked at her and said, your son is a saint. In 5 minutes with him, you'd hear what you needed. He could read souls, drawing everyone to him. Something about him was different, even strange to some.
He never had a girlfriend?
No, that's actually what everyone asks, including the girls. But then the guy said, the only woman in my life is Our Lady. If Carlo had a boyfriend, would he have stopped being pure? He made the little shepherds of Fatima his closest friends, and Fatima truly enchanted him. His mortal remains are transferred to a place of veneration. Surprisingly, Carlo was unharmed. I saw it all. I brought his relics. Want to see? Yes, show them now.
I do.
Can you show them now?
It was on October 12th in a church dedicated to Our Lady of Aparecida. I have to ask a journalistic question.
Go ahead.
Why was the miracle attributed to Carlo and not to Our Lady of Aparecida?
Within the process of canonizing a person who is a candidate for sainthood, it is necessary for 2 miracles to occur in order to complete the process. There are 4 stages. The first stage is diocesan, then venerable, blessed, and canonized. That's where the famous devil's advocates come in. They are paid to find anything that speaks against His Holiness.
And then you throw him into the fire.
That's their role, poor guys.
Hello? He says he's the devil's advocate.
Oh, damn.
I see all the time people saying they forgot to subscribe to the channel or that they didn't even remember to do it.
And in the end, 69% of the people who watch our videos, whether it's on Jornada or on the podcast, aren't subscribed, which is a shame.
So, let me ask you a favor. It's a very simple gesture that doesn't cost you anything, but it's very important to me.
Subscribe to the channel, and if you really like our show, turn on the notification bell and share this episode with at least 3, 4, or 5 people, if you can, who you think will enjoy the content.
So look, thank you very much for subscribing and for being part of our community and the history of this channel.
My guest is so close to Carlo Acutis that he became the biggest promoter of devotion to the Holy Boy here in Brazil and around the world. He is one of the people closest not only to the story but also to Carlo's family. He spent a year living with Carlo's parents, younger siblings, and grandmother there in Assisi, Italy.
He believes that holiness is not distant, nor is it reserved only for a chosen few. For my guest, holiness is something that can be lived out routinely.
And this vision, of course, includes the boy who played his invisible guitar while listening to music. Passionate about video games and soccer, who at the age of 7 started saying he wanted to live forever with Jesus. And who is the main subject of our conversation? In today's program, we will talk about this unique experience of living with the family of a saint, about the details of the canonization process, and also about the exhumation of Carlo Acutis' body. Father Fábio Vieira, you may come in.
Thank you. No problem.
A little here comes with suitcases.
Arrives with a suitcase and a gift.
A gift? Thank you.
For you.
Thank you. Let's open it. Let's sit down and I'll open it right away.
Today will also be blessed for you.
Oh, Father, are you coming from a trip?
I'm from Angola, Africa.
What was the mission there?
It was the Carlo Acutis mission.
Oh, really?
We went to deliver Carlo's message.
Do you want to leave your bag down here?
Uh-huh.
So was it a visit to the Angolans? Is there a devotion to Acutis in Angola?
There is in the world.
I didn't know. I should have realized, but I never considered it. Is there...
It was a very beautiful experience. It was a very...
How was it?
Simply being in Africa and experiencing the people and reality, there was already a wow for me. Before Carlo's canonization, he was there. Carlo wanted to be among those who were his intended recipients.
Was it in Luanda?
The poorest, yes, Luanda.
Was there a specific church?
Yes, St. John Mary Vianney Parish, it was there.
Is this parish connected to Carlo?
This connection with Carlo started with a deacon I met here at the Catholic Expo last year, who had already invited me to go to Angola. But quickly everyone embraced Carlo's message. It was very beautiful. It's a unique experience to see the African people, the Angolan people, in their poverty and simplicity welcome a saint.
The way you're speaking, it seems to me...
It's not that I think so, but it reminds me of preaching good news. Is that what you're doing?
My life changed completely after living in Carlo's house that year.
Wait, let me open my gift first. Hold on, you'll tell.
Yeah.
There's a halo. There's a halo, so there must be a saint, right?
There has to be a saint.
Look, here he is.
Yeah, that's the image.
How nice.
What a beautiful image, right?
Beautiful. The craftsman translated it well.
Well, I'm going to ask you to put the halo on him.
Let's go. This boy, the only thing he ever wanted in life, the only thing Carlo ever wanted in life was heaven. All right, Rodrigo, look. Different from everything we have in our mentality, in our minds, in our caricature of a saint.
Yeah, we're seeing here the boy with a backpack, red t-shirt.
I was there at the Sanctuary of Renunciation. I went to visit Carlo's tomb. I even did a pretty deep immersion.
I talked with Bishop Domenico Sorrentino for a long time, and I was really impacted by Carlo.
And when we arrive and start talking about Carlo Acutis, some people immediately identify with him.
For instance, my sister-in-law Daniela cries whenever she sees his image.
But there are other people who ask, Rodrigo, why is he a saint, huh?
I have my explanation, but I wanted to hear yours.
There are people who doubt it too. Carlo's grandma, Luana, from the many conversations we had, she once said to me, Father Fábio, my grandson loved things about the church so much, reading about the lives of the saints, etc. I thought he would become a priest, maybe even a bishop or a pope, his grandmother said. But I never imagined my grandson would be a saint. Look, Rodrigo, holiness seems like something so distant, so out of reach that people doubt it. And because they doubt, they don't believe that someone like me, like you, can be blessed with this calling. What people need to understand is that holiness is a calling that God gave us regardless. It was made for everyone. We often lack the courage to answer this calling since it requires bravery. For Carlo, 15 years were enough to fulfill God's call. Some people go through life never understanding their purpose here.
This calling is what we learn when we start, as children, to study the idea of vocation. Isn't it the same calling that led you to become a priest, sir?
No, look, the call to holiness was made for everyone. When, on the day of baptism, St. Paul already calls us saints. All the baptized are saints. It's just that we created a hierarchy within this calling. A canonized saint achieves such conformity with Christ in life that we consider him an example and a model. That's what I want to highlight. Holiness is a daily calling I answer by doing good. The good that I do is part of the Holiness project. Look, we also carry the tendency toward evil within us. But I have the freedom to make a choice. I am the result of my choices. And if I choose good, I am walking this path of holiness. You don't need to reach canonization.
But how is Carlo's choice different from other choices?
Look, how is it different? Carlo, his first communion at age 7 was the turning point in his life. He set a plan for his life, and in that plan he said, my life plan is to always be with Jesus.
You mentioned being 7. I'm thinking about this image.
Yes, in this image. On the day he had his first communion, that was the turning point in his life. That was when he received communion for the first time. He said, my life project is to always be with Jesus. And within his project, he set a goal. My goal is infinity. And what is infinity? Infinity is heaven. God, as he used to say, Nonio Mario. Nonio Mario. Not me, God.
What a great conversation, right? Such an interesting topic.
Now, talking about the story of Carlo Acutis, I'm always taken back to Italy.
And I really remember the trip I took to Assisi recently to visit the Sanctuary of Renunciation where Carlo's tomb is.
It was a very impactful, emotional, and also hectic trip. I wanted to share the stories of St. Francis, St. Clare, St. Rita, and Carlo, which led us to travel extensively.
Carlo was a child and a young man determined to reach heaven. The only thing Carlo wanted was heaven. That already makes an impact and a difference because we make so many choices. Wherever I go, I usually ask people who wants heaven. Everyone raises their hand when I ask, I do. But when I ask who wants to go in 5 minutes, no one does. That's the difference between us and Carlo. In other words, those who truly desire live day and night according to their desire. They make their life revolve around that desire. Heaven could arrive in 5 minutes, 5 years, 10 or 50. I don't know.
Father, but does going to heaven mean you have to die first?
Obviously, I have to die. I have to go through death. It's in life that I build the path to this project, which is transcendent.
Is the idea that heaven can exist here on earth non-existent in your view?
Completely. So we'd just stay here, right? We wouldn't want more than this. Everything here, Rodrigo, is immanence. That's the great human desire, wanting to make things happen here. The only real thing we have is life, this moment. This is immanence. I'm here, aware of being in front of you.
This is what the ancient Christians used to call garments. It's what our soul wears.
Exactly. But there is something transcendent. Our very consciousness points us to something that isn't here, right? And because it's transcendent, it's not tangible. So it's not here. It can't be here. My conscience gives me certainty through faith. For non-believers, I can't say how it is for them.
But is there a chance, just because we touched on this subject that's so deep, is there a chance it's only here and we're mistaken?
Ah, my friend, but if it's only here, it'll be a huge disappointment since we've sacrificed and done so much thinking there's more beyond. Because biblically, the gospel itself says, look, you will receive 100-fold here for the life choice you made, and in the end, eternal life. Since eternity doesn't exist in time, it can't be here. It can't be here. It has to be something transcendent, right? Because we die. We are aware of our finitude. Otherwise, there would be another certainty that would bring me back here, but there isn't. There's no use.
And it's really bad here, isn't it?
Son, the situation is bad due to man's misuse of freedom, even though God saw everything was good when he created it. The world is good. I don't like this idea of people demonizing the world or wanting to blame the world for their actions. That the world is this or that the world is... No.
But when you say the world, are you talking about people in general?
The world and people and everything that's out there. Because many times we want to run away from our reality, or we don't want to admit, let's use religious language, our sins. Then we always want to find a scapegoat, a victim to blame. Oh, it's the world's fault. Hold on, let's go to the book of Genesis. When God creates, at the end of each day, he says it was good. The world is good. If you ask people if they want to die, they don't. They want to stay here. Just ask science, trying to delay death in every possible way.
But immortality isn't a good thing either, right? That's what they're trying to do, right?
Yeah, of course not.
Here, immortality in this world.
It doesn't exist in this world.
But they're trying.
Like they tried to clone people, but you can't clone the soul. I can clone everything except the soul.
That has a lot to do with what Carlo used to say about photocopying, right?
We are all born originals, but many die as photocopies. And what does it mean to die as a photocopy, huh?
Is it being a nobody? Is it being someone who just imitates others?
For Carlo, it was clear. Our essence is in God. Being original means living for my purpose, God. I came from Him and must return to Him. When I escape reality and dilute myself, I become a copy of myself. Or when I try to put other things as a substitute for what is essential, because what is essential is always God.
But wasn't he also talking about people who spend their days on social media wanting to be the emptiness of influencers, who have nothing to say, wanting to copy influencers?
Isn't that also what he was talking about?
Look, Rodrigo, Carlo didn't have any social media at all. Carlo is from the Orkut era, right? I'm from the Orkut era, from that social network.
We're from the same era, okay?
I've already checked your date of birth. We're very close in age.
That's right, my friend. So Carlo didn't have any social media at all. The only thing this guy had was a laptop that he connected to the internet.
He never logged into Orkut, for example?
No, because he never had one.
Didn't he want to?
He didn't want to. He didn't even have a cell phone.
He never had a girlfriend?
No.
He didn't want to.
Everyone asks that question, including the girls.
Because there must have been girls all over him.
Absolutely. A handsome 6-foot-tall millionaire from Milan, of course, many girls were after him. Carlo replied, "The only woman in my life is Our Lady." Interesting guy, right? It's Mistress Antonia who says that, right? From so many conversations with Mistress Antonia, she says it with real meaning. Carlo was pure. Pure in the sense that he knew what he wanted, right? So he didn't let himself be seduced by the things we so easily fall for. Of the few times Carlo's father spoke in public, that day when he spoke, I still remember seeing Andre speaking. During Beatification Week, he said, "That Father Andre."
Is Andre the father?
Andrea is the father. He said, "My son was not an ambiguous young man. He knew what he wanted, and everything he did well." That was Carlo. In another chat with Mistress Antonia, recalling our many moments during the pandemic when we stayed inside the house, after some reflection, Rodrigo, we concluded that Carlo had infused knowledge. What is that? Infused knowledge, a transcendental intelligence.
How did you come to that conclusion?
If he sat with you for 5 minutes, he'd tell you what you needed to hear. He could read people's souls, and that's very transcendent. So it's an intelligence that was beyond immanence, because a boy who learned Greek and Hebrew on his own without attending school did so to better understand Holy Scripture. So he went to the origins. We can say from a scientific point of view that he had a very high intelligence quotient, but it wasn't just that. By the end, by the purpose for which he used it, this only showed that it was really something transcendent. That's what we call infused science. It's like living in heaven while being here, something like that. Words can't fully express it, but that's about it.
Father, was Carlo a pure boy? Is that what you just said?
What is purity in the 21st century?
Because the purity isn't the same as today, like the purity seen in St. Paul or his letters.
Look, it's so interesting when we use the expression pure and impure because it's always connected to the sexual issue.
And is that what we're talking about?
It's much more than that. I can't reduce it, just like I can't reduce sexuality to a sexual act. Sexuality is much broader. The water I drink, the food I eat, the friends I interact with, the outings I go on, everything that gives me pleasure. It makes up sexuality.
Do you mean in the Freudian sense?
That too. There's no way to escape that man. We always refer back to him from time to time. So in that regard, I can't narrow it down. And this heritage of the pure and the impure is Jewish. It's Greco-Jewish.
By the way, the origin of the word kosher, kosher food, kashe, is this: purity and impurity in food.
Exactly.
So, we come from the Old Testament with the idea of purity and impurity.
But pork was allowed, we eat shrimp. So some things from the Old Testament for us Christians became pure.
Because Jesus gave them new meaning. And it's not what goes in, it's what comes out that makes a man pure. It's not what goes into him. For the Jew, this is unacceptable. He won't eat it. Right? Because it's much more connected to this, even to hygiene, to the issue, etc. But in the Christian universe, Jesus went much further because he was giving new meaning, right? Man wasn't made for the Sabbath, but the Sabbath for man, right? So if your mother is sick, should I not help her today because it's the Sabbath? No, that's wrong. So am I going to stop doing good today on the Sabbath because it's the Lord's day? No. For us, the Lord's day is the day to do good, even though it's also a day of rest, to praise God and give thanks to God. Pure comes from the idea that one hasn't let themselves. He didn't let himself be corrupted by all those things that could have, by the friends he had. He could have been influenced to go to parties or discos with friends, as they say in Italy, but he never did.
But here's my question. It's a worldly question. If Carlo had dated, would he have stopped being pure?
No, he wouldn't, because there is dating in purity as well.
He wouldn't have stopped being pure. He would have remained pure.
Absolutely.
So we're not talking about sex.
This isn't about sex, it's something much bigger. It's about not corrupting the soul with evil. You know? So it's really about choosing good, because the boy who filled his backpack with snacks to give to the homeless, that's purity. So let's broaden the topic of purity. In fact, when I talk about purity, I never reduce it to just that. And Carlo's mother puts it in this perspective too. Carlo was transcendent in this aspect of purity. Why? Because the only thing he wanted was to go to heaven. And to go to heaven, for him, goodness was the goal. Goodness was the goal. Don't speak ill of others. Help them. Notice how many times Antonia said she came home and Carlo was helping the housemaid sweep, tidy things up, and leave everything in order. She said, "Yes, son, but she's being paid for that." He replied, "No, Mom, she lives out on the outskirts of Milan and needs to get home early to be with her children. So let me help her finish early so she can leave." So, look, that's purity. In other words, the ability to do good, to see others for who they are, and to be sensitive. That's a pure sense, one that isn't contaminated. He could see it differently. No, she's just a maid, so she has to work. No, I'll help her since she has a family and needs to get home early. So it's in this broader sense of purity. Now, really, he didn't have, if I consider the other aspect, he really didn't have a girlfriend. And Mistress Antonia says this, he didn't have one. Now, there was no shortage of girls for sure, just imagine.
There was no shortage, I'm sure. I wasn't there, but I'm sure.
There was never shortage, of course, it's obvious. But when someone knows what they want, they make it very clear. It's not that they're creating a barrier. It's like a shield. People wonder, should I go for it or not? Is it or isn't it, you know? Because when someone is decisive, Rodrigo, when someone knows what they want, it's very interesting. I've already met people like that, whom you admire, whom you can't see with different eyes, in the sense of, wow, I want to kiss this guy. I don't know. I think that... Block it out. That's it.
Okay, I understand.
Block it out. No, I won't. Hold on. There's something different about him, but it's not inherent. I'm not sure what it is. I spoke with one of Carlo's friends who studied with him from preschool through high school. I asked him, what was Carlo like with you at school every day? He said, our father, we felt something different. He drew us in. Everyone wanted to be close. Everyone came over. One, because he was funny, a clown, he told jokes. So he brought people together. He attracted them. It was something different that... Then he said, today I know that was holiness. I didn't realize it then, I added. We see in others what exists in us. Maybe so, Father. We see ourselves in others. He had something that drew us in, which I now realize was divine. Being with him was nice, but Carlo seemed different. I think that if Carlo experienced bullying, it was positive bullying.
But did he suffer? Is there any account of that?
Like, for example, in a positive sense that he had something different, maybe strange to some people. Usually we isolate these people because they don't share the same ideas, because they don't say the same silly things we do. They don't share. So we isolate, label, and then we make fun of them, like teenagers say. Carlo wasn't like that. Everyone wanted to be around him. They felt there was something strange. For some it was strange. For others it was different. What is it that he has? And it was kind of like, let's try to figure it out.
So did Carlo Acutis suffer from bullying?
He did. In that way, he suffered, but not in the sense that I'm hurt, I'm wounded, I'm going to get depressed because of this. No, Carlo didn't care, knowing exactly what he wanted, despite the obvious consequences. Being different is all it takes.
You said he wanted to go to heaven. We know that, right? He talked about the Eucharist as a highway to heaven. He never wanted to go to Jerusalem even though his family was wealthy. Why was that?
Andrea's father invited him on a pilgrimage to Jerusalem. Carlo said, "Dad, Jesus is in the tabernacle at the church next door. Shall we go?" Actually, Rodrigo, there's a saying that goes, "A saint at home doesn't work miracles." But Carlo was the saint who performed miracles at home first. He changed his family to get his father's attention. You want to go to Jerusalem, but you don't even go to church? Let's go next door. Jesus is in the tabernacle. We can think about Jerusalem later. That was the real reason. When he studied Eucharistic miracles and questioned Mistress Antonia, leaving her unsure how to answer, he was provoking a life change. He'd go to his room and laugh, already knowing the answers. So he pulled one over on his father with that.
So he's a prankster saint.
A comic prankster. His mother is the same. Time with Mistress Antonia leaves you with a sore diaphragm from laughing. She's really pleasant. He's the male version of his mother.
Can you tell how that story went? How did it all start?
To go to Italy? To live with Carlo's family? Where did the invitation come from? How did that happen?
Look at that, right? In 2012, I was going to Italy. And there, in Campo Grande, in Mato Grosso do Sul, with another priest, we found a holy card that had a phone number on the back. It was the servant of God Carlo Acutis, who was buried in Assisi. We planned to visit Rome, but got curious and decided to see this boy's tomb in Assisi. When we arrived in Rome, the cell phone back there, I called. Whose cell phone was it? It was Mistress Antonia's. She was the one who handed out her son's holy cards. In Italy, few knew Carlo Acutis or that he was buried in Assisi. We called. "We're from Brazil. I'm Father Fábio, etc." She asked, "When are you arriving in Assisi?" "Tomorrow." "What time?" When we arrived in Assisi, she met us at the station, drove us to her house, and welcomed us. A strong friendship began there. She still lives in Assisi.
She lived in Assisi, right?
She already lived in Assisi.
Does she still live in Assisi?
She still lives in Assisi.
Did you spend the year with family?
It was 2020.
Was it in Assis?
Was it in Assis during the pandemic?
During the pandemic?
That's right. Then it started in 2012. She took it into her house. Then she took us to the cemetery.
No, wait.
She took you to her house, offered you coffee. What else?
Coffee, a place to stay, everything. We'd booked a hotel, but she insisted, "No, you're staying at my house."
How many were there?
It was just me and another priest, so we stayed.
Which one? Father Marcelo Tenorio?
Correct. We stayed at the priest's at Carlos.
Did they both stay there a year?
It wasn't only in 2012. I was the one who stayed and lived there. Afterward, I went there annually. In 2013, the miracle occurred at the priest's parish in Campo Grande. But I was the one who carried the process twice.
In a moment, I want to hear about this process. But tell us a little more about this fascinating story of you going to live in the family's house.
That's right. So every year we started going to Assis. So every year I would go to Assis and stay at her house. I stayed once. I stayed for a month, 2 months. One time when I went, she had even enrolled me in an Italian school. She asked, "Father Fábio, why not stay and help us at the Carlo Acutis Association?" I replied, "Wait, Mistress Antonia, I'm still a parish priest and my diocese needs me. I can't." In 2019, I served as parish priest at the cathedral in Corumbá, Mato Grosso do Sul.
Are you a diocesan priest?
I am a diocesan priest.
Who is the bishop? From where?
Dom João Batista de Oliveira, Diocese of Corumbá, Mato Grosso do Sul. In July 2019, I visited her and said, "Mistress Antonia, I've decided I'm coming in 2020 to stay for a while." She had already spoken to Monsignor Sorrentino and arranged to receive the orders there. Everything was set. In January, I left Corumbá after handing over the cathedral and saying goodbye. I began celebrating at the sanctuary.
Did you have your own room at Mistress Antonia's house?
Yes, that's right. Look, the family owns 2 houses there. They kept the first one where Carlo lived because only Mistress Antonia, Carlo, Andrea, Luana, and the grandmother lived there. After the twins were born, they bought a larger house on Cathedral Street in Assis. Mistress Antonia asked, "Where do you want to stay, Father?" He replied, "I want to stay here, in Carlo's old place, across from his room." She said, "Okay, stay here, but eat and do everything else with us in the other house." So I spent the day in the other house and slept in this one, alone, all alone there, because I made Carlo's room my own space.
It's one of those old stone houses, right?
That's right. And it's 3 stories.
Actually, it's a semi-detached house, you know? One right next to the other.
No, there are other houses on another street. This is in front of the Santo Stefano Chapel where Carlo went. It's a big house, but the family grew. They bought another one but kept the first. I prefer to stay in the original. So there. In January, I arrived there. On March 11, 2020, Italy shut down the world, the first Western country to face all of that. And it was like a really strange thing, because then wow, seeing all those people dying, right? Everyone went through that. But Italy, being the first Western country to face all that, didn't know what to do. It felt like just seeing someone could infect and kill you. Then I said, wow, did I come here to die?
Did you stay at home? Did you lock yourself in there?
We all stayed together, me, Mistress Antonia, Andrea, and the siblings. We couldn't go out. In Italy, you really couldn't go out. Only one person was allowed to go out.
Carlo's brothers?
Carlo's brothers, who are Francesca and Michelle, twins. They are 15 years old today.
Look at how old he was when he died.
Actually, one topic just leads to another, right? Mistress Antonia says, my son's first miracle happened to me is because she couldn't have more children. Carlo was an only child. 4 years after his death, she became pregnant with twins at 43. We stayed there, Rodrigo. I thought, wow, I came here to die. At least I died in San Francisco, Santa Clara, in Carlo's room. It's a nice place to die.
Christians usually think that when something good happens, it's a blessing. But was it a curse that happened?
Was it a trial?
Are you talking to me?
Yes, being there during the pandemic, starting the pandemic when you got there.
For me, it was the best year of my life. For me, it was a great spiritual retreat. I'm different since 2020. I understood. You know something I learned that I didn't realize before, and now, after 50, I understand it? Not just with age, but I learned, man, that the best company in the world is my own. It's not in a selfish way, no. I learned from solitude, not from loneliness, the act of being alone, isolated at times. It was the Eucharist that sustained us that year. Look, isn't that remarkable? Mass stopped worldwide, churches closed, and everything halted. Yet the family of the Saint of the Eucharist never missed a day. There was a priest from Brazil at his house, and what sustained us that year was the daily Mass. It was Carlo. By the way, I brought 2 more gifts for you. Can I give them to you now?
Of course, and I'll thank you even before I see them.
I was going to... this whole year was during the pandemic, right?
The whole time. I returned in December at the end of the year. After things reopened and another lockdown was coming, I decided, no, I'm going back. Mistress Antonia encouraged me to get on social media, work, and discuss Carlo. I resisted, preferring to stay behind the scenes. She insisted, saying, no, Father Fabio, you're young, you have... I never imagined it would...
How does Mistress Antonia call you?
Mistress Antonia, Father Fábio.
In Portuguese, just like that?
Yes, in Portuguese, just like that. That's how I wrote my first book. It was Carlo, inspired by that talk with Mistress.
I read that book.
Did you understand?
I want it autographed. I also have one set aside to give you later.
In that one, I narrate my whole life, how it was back in that year. I talk about the family. I talk about each member of the family. I talk about my calling. It turned out to be very colloquial and pleasant. And look, it was the people who encouraged me to write, because I never thought in my life about writing any book. And then the priest said, Father, but you have to talk about this beautiful experience you lived. So, let's do it. And it was from this conversation with Mistress Antonia. Yeah, Mistress Antonia. It was Carlo who did all of this. Then, 4 years after that mission, after I came back from there, traveling all over Brazil and also to other countries, the book Carlo, Yes, I Know was born, which I released last year through Canção Nova. And in it, I share a bit of my experience based on what I heard from people's testimonies. And I try to respond from Carlo's spirituality. Then I said, Mistress Antonia, you should write the preface since you put me through all this. Is this new? This is the new one.
Did it come out this year?
It just came out. It's been nearly a year since last year's end. So Mistress Antonia wrote the preface for this Carlo Sim Eu Não.
I'm going to read it.
So there are some really interesting things.
Is this more spiritual and that more documentary?
This one is more pastoral. I answer questions using Carlo's spirituality, responding to what I've heard and felt from young people and others. For example, there's a chapter that talks about moving from virtual sexuality to real chastity. So I try to respond to some things based on what young people are experiencing from the spirituality of
Is it a book addressed to young people?
To young people.
Were there young people there when I went to the sanctuary?
Great for catechists, parents, and everyone. Yes, it's being visited more and more.
A lot. There were many young people going to see Carlo's tomb.
Exactly.
And is this other one more like a documentary about your presence there?
This is my testimony. Then I discuss each family member, the mother, father, siblings, and grandmother, about the pandemic, about the city of Assis, about my vocational calling, and about Carlo's Holiness kit, which I finish with at the end. This experience developed over 4 years. As long as God allows, we'll keep going. I often say, it was Carlo who got me into all this, because I was quietly there in the Pantanal, at peace in my parish, and suddenly this happened.
What happened in the Pantanal while you were at peace? What was it? Your calling, what was it?
So it began with his mother, Mistress Antonia.
It was that little saint over there and...
It was that little saint.
Was it in Rome?
It was in Rome.
Did someone give it to you?
Yes.
You don't even know who it is?
I never knew who was. And suddenly all of this brought us together, because there are so many priests in the world, right? Why me?
What were you doing there?
So actually we went on a pilgrimage, right? We were going to visit Father Pio, etc.
And you went?
We went, then visited Father Pio in Monte Gargano.
St. Clair, St. Rita.
Everything. I always do that. That's always my itinerary. I went to Italy 18 times. 18 times. And the blessing of spending a year in mystical Assisi.
Do you always go up to Rocca Pereira when you go there?
I often go up Mount Subasio where Carlo used to go. I've been to the top several times, even in the snow.
Still in that year you spent there, is that how Mistress Antonia learned Portuguese?
Mistress Antonia mixes it up. She mixes it with Spanish, which is very, for the Italian.
It's like a spaghetti of languages.
Now, yes, she's studying Portuguese better. I used to tell her something. For the Italian, learning Spanish is easier, just like it is for us. I learned some Spanish, but had to delete it to learn Italian since they're very similar.
And did you learn it that year?
Actually, that year gave me the experience because I was able to celebrate in Italian, give homilies.
Do you celebrate in Italian today?
Yes, I do. I'll go calmly, not sure if I parlo bene, benissimo.
Like in Italian.
You have to have the swing of the...
But it will have it.
In a little while, when we go to our second act, your Italian is going to come out in such a way that I think we're going to be speaking in Italian.
Ok, perfetto. Andiamo, sì, vai bene, benissimo. Dopo.
Dopo. I mix in Spanish all the time, but it takes a while, right?
After 3 or 4 days, the Spanish emerges.
Yeah, I was just like that in Argentina now. Oh my God, it's going to be a mess in my head because it gets mixed up. This thing about is really interesting.
Did you know I used to mix Hebrew and French? When I moved to Israel and began learning Hebrew, I'd often use French expressions when speaking.
Really?
I don't know why. I think it's because of the guttural R sound.
Ah, that must be it.
I used to evoke French, which at that time I didn't speak very well yet, but I already spoke it. Well, later I went to live in France. But when I lived in Israel, French would come to me and I would just speak French.
All I learned in Hebrew is Boker Tov. Boker Tov.
Good morning.
Laila Tov. Boa noite.
That's right. I've been to Israel 5 times. I really want to live there for a year someday.
It's necessary, I would say.
Man, I feel something so good regarding Israel. It's impressive. The first time I went, when I left the Jericho desert, when we left Jericho to walk to Jerusalem, when I saw Jerusalem, I cried. It's something like that you can't understand. It's very powerful.
It's very powerful. Even after living there for 4 years, every visit still feels powerful.
And I miss it a lot.
A lot. I think that if I could have stayed, maybe I would still be there today.
It's a magnet, isn't it?
It is. Is
That attracts us.
words can't say it, you feel it, but you can't translate it. It's good. It's good. One thing, it really is the holy city. We use this expression holy because out of nowhere God made everything there. Imagine a dry land, just rocks. What is that?
Father, what was your role in the process that led to the canonization of Carlo Acutis?
After returning from my 2012 meeting with Mistress Antonia, I began spreading the word in my parish. I began the Carlo Acutis devotion in my parish, Campo Grande, also with Father Marcelo there and other priests, everyone in Mato Grosso.
Your parish was...
It was 500 kilometers from Campo Grande. I'm from a different diocese.
What was the city?
Corumba, right there on the border with Bolivia. And suddenly, when the miracle happened there in Campo Grande, the tribunal that investigated the miracle delegated me to take the case. I participated in 2 hearings at the Congregation for the Causes of Saints about the case.
Was this hearing at the Vatican?
At the Vatican? Because the process was opened in Campo Grande since the miracle happened there.
Yes, please explain the process details.
Let's go. The whole process to investigate the miracle, the Holy See decides to open an investigative tribunal in the diocese where the miracle happened. Since the miracle happened in Campo Grande, Archbishop Dom Dimas had to set up a tribunal with a president and notaries. And it starts with the guidance of the postulator of the cause, who is Nicola Gori, to carry out the investigation of the supposed miracle.
Just to add this, I spoke with Father Marcelo Tenorio recently, and he told me, look, miracles attributed to Carlo Acutis are still happening here. How do you choose which miracle will be investigated?
Perfect. Within the canonization process of a person who is a candidate for sainthood, to become a saint, 2 miracles are required to complete the process, to close the process, okay? The canonical process has 4 stages. The first is diocesan, when the local bishop begins it. Then Cardinal Scola of Milan opened Carlo's process and declared him servant of God. It continues from there.
Cardinal Scola?
That's right. He started it himself. It was one of the last processes he opened as Archbishop of Milan. Then it was transferred to the Diocese of Assisi because the family moved there.
And then it was handed over to Dom Domenico Sorrentino.
Dom Sorrentino supported the cause and forwarded it to the Vatican, which is still processing it.
So, what year are we talking about? When does the process reach Assisi?
2012, it was already in Assisi, right after that, right? It was opened 5 years after his death.
Carlo died in 2006. The process began in 2011.
Correct. 5 years later, as required by canon law, it opens. You must follow canon law rules. Then it goes to the Vatican for the other steps, which are 3 more: venerable, blessed, and canonized. The longest part of this process is reaching the stage of venerable. The miracle can already happen now. Since he was a servant of God, I could ask for his intercession. That's what happened. While still a servant of God, the tribunal in Campo Grande was already investigating the miracle with Matthäus, who had a pancreatic problem. From servant of God to venerable, where heroic virtues are investigated.
Isn't a miracle needed to become venerable?
No.
Heroic virtues?
Heroic virtues. That's where the famous devil's advocates come into play.
Do they really exist?
Devil's advocates still exist today.
Are there still devil's advocates today?
Yes, you have to have the opposing side. You have to have people. They are paid to find something that goes against His Holiness.
And then you throw him into the fire.
That's their role, poor thing. Look at that, isn't it something? I recall Don Bosco's canonization when the devil's advocate reviewed everything and said this. The devil's advocate appeared before Pope Pius IX and said, "When did this priest ever pray? He was constantly with the young people, always moving around. No one ever saw him praying." And prayer is fundamental for a saint. Then the Pope looked at him and said, "And when was he not praying?" He turned his work into a prayer. Let's canonize Don Bosco, actually Pius X.
What did the devil's advocate say about Carlo Acutis?
There was nothing against Carlo, so it ended quickly.
Didn't they even try?
Carlo left.
Or was the devil sleeping?
I think Carlinho over there really outsmarted the devil. He did, my son, because they didn't find anything against him. Did you know his computer was seized by the Vatican? They did an FBI level sweep.
So? What did they find?
Nothing that would compromise Carlo's purity, in the sense that Carlo never visited a pornographic website, for example. Otherwise, the process would have stopped right there. Because how could you even begin to understand what a candidate for sainthood was doing on a site like that?
Man, now if you want to be a saint, you can't mess up online.
Today, more than ever, because there's the IP address and the Vatican CIA.
Really? Is there? You're not joking?
No, it's not a joke. There is. The Congregation for the Causes of Saints is divided into various segments. The scientific team includes many who don't believe in God.
And it's necessary to have that person there.
It's necessary. That's why this further authenticates the truth of the miracle. The Church is very prudent about this.
So, is there a scientist involved?
A skeptical scientist and people. In Carlo's case, was there a doctor involved in his process? There was.
A doctor?
Doctors, the team of doctors from the Congregation for the Cause of Saints, they are paid for that. Offered out. I remember the first time they opened it, they looked at everything and said, "We want you to return and reopen the tribunal in Campo Grande. We want 10 more testimonies for another medical board to examine the boy again, and we want more tests."
Did they do it?
We did. Then we sent.
What year was that?
That was in 2017.
So, the process was long.
The investigation lasted about 5 years. I returned, arrived, and handed it over. Look, the Vatican asked for more witnesses, other medical boards, and wants all the exams digitized.
Why did you handle the process instead of Father Marcelo Tenorio from that parish?
Yeah, it was supposed to be with him, right? It was Carlo. I don't know either. All I know is that it was me.
Wow, your smile is kind of mischievous.
Look, there was still one more thing.
Is there a story you're not telling me?
Look, Rodrigo, the first time I went, then, when I got to the congregation, Mistress Antonia was there waiting for me. She joined in too. Then I was registered at the Vatican as the bearer of Blessed Carlo Acutis' miracle process.
Was it her request?
No, the Campo Grande Tribunal requested it. Since I was already going, they gave me the process, so the priest didn't go.
You already had a relationship with the Vatican. You used to go there a lot.
I used to go every year with Mistress Antonia.
Can I say that you are a traveling priest, a traveler?
That happened to me. I don't know why.
So that also led to it, right?
It did.
To being the messenger.
I was the messenger then because Father Marcelo couldn't go. They asked me to go because of my familiarity and closeness with the family. So I was recorded there. Then the second time I went back, I said what needed to be done.
If there's a devil's advocate, were you God's advocate? Is that it?
It's because I didn't defend myself there, right? I was only there to deliver it and answered any questions, right? What did they ask you there at the time? If everything was okay with the process, then they opened it there. There were about 4 people, me, Mistress Antonia. Mistress Antonia was always silent. Then they analyze everything and so on. You know how Italians are, right? Italian bureaucracy, always sign here, sign there, and so on. All was in order, signatures and witnesses. Everything came with the stamps they need, because Italians love stamps, and everything. Then when it was over, we want you to come back and reopen the court. We want to hear from other medical boards. I don't know if maybe they weren't satisfied with that, but they wanted to push a little more, right?
To be more certain.
To be more certain.
Now tell me, what was the case of the boy Matthias? Tell us.
Matthias had a congenital problem with his pancreas, right? He was vomiting 24 hours a day, had reflux 24 hours a day, and didn't have much hope for life anymore.
He was 4 years old.
Yes, and his pancreas, I saw it in the images, looked like a Y, like this. There was a bifurcation. It was a very strange thing. When he visited Nossa Senhora Aparecida Church in Campo Grande from São Sebastião Parish, when the priest gave the blessing with the relic, the grandfather took Matthias to receive it through Carlo's intercession. And weeks later, the boy got better, the reflux stopped, and so on. Then the priest gathered everything together, because you need the medical report. The first thing is the science, not explained. Because it's not science that says it's a miracle. Who says it's a miracle is the church. Science just doesn't explain it. Even on the ultrasound, Matthias's pancreas returned to its normal state. That doesn't happen. You are born with a congenital problem. Imagine if you were born without an arm, and the next month, the arm started to grow.
And were there several x-rays, previous photos that showed this?
Exactly. And what was the cause and the medical prognosis? There's no way that could happen. That's when science bows down, right? What do you mean? Does science want to die?
What did the doctors say?
After all, those who aren't even religious, who don't even believe in God?
They simply say we can't explain it. Scientifically, it wasn't supposed to happen.
What's the Italian expression? Do you remember?
In the Italian expression?
Is there an expression as if it was something legal?
Canonical. They use very canonical expressions for this kind of non-explanation.
We don't explain.
We don't explain. We don't explain.
Is that what they say?
You can't understand. There's no way to know. First, they go like this. First, they go like this. There's no answer.
Is Matthias doing well?
Perfectly. He could even eat rocks.
How old is he?
He eats even rocks. He is 15 years old.
No, kidney stones aren't going to happen now, for God's sake.
That's right, my son. He's okay. He's okay. He's okay. And look, there you go, Rodrigo. It's done. That's it, servant of God. A miracle was happening. As soon as Carlo was declared venerable, right after that, the Pope recognized the miracle. It was in 2018 that he was declared venerable. Then, the following year, the miracle was already accepted and the beatification was authorized. Look, how cool is that? So that at the same time, venerable, the miracle was already accepted and he became blessed in 2020. The third step is where venerable ends. The other two steps are beatification and canonization. Then I only need two miracles, right? One for beatification, which was the one from Brazil, and one for canonization, which was Valeria's in Florence.
Wasn't it in Costa Rica, the second miracle?
She's a young Costa Rican woman, but it happened in Florence. What happens? The case closed, that's it. Canonically and legally, everything needed to close the case has happened. Now millions of miracles will occur. No need to send it to the Vatican anymore. The case is over. He's already a saint, but miracles will come. I myself forwarded 3 from here in São Paulo. We received many. From Argentina, from Mexico, from many places. Then only the 2 necessary ones have happened so far. They do an internal screening there to justify, no, this one really, like Valeria's case. Imagine, the girl had a head injury and lost brain mass. And science says she's going to die or she'll be in a vegetative state. And the girl gets up, walks out, and is perfectly fine. Once again, her case, the investigation took 9 months. It was pretty quick. It left science even more cornered.
2013. The miracle of the boy Matthias happened on October 12.
2013.
It was on October 12 in a church dedicated to Our Lady of Aparecida.
I have to ask a journalistic question.
Do it!
Why was the miracle attributed to Carlo and not to Our Lady of Aparecida?
Because the Mass was votive to Carlo Acutis. And it was with the blessing of Carlo's relic, asking for his intercession. Our Lady was with us helping. Where the mother is, the son is too. My son, it's no coincidence he died, the liturgical memorial, and the miracle all happened on October 12th.
That's a lot of coincidence. But did he personally have any connection with Our Lady of Aparecida?
No, with Our Lady of Fatima. What did he say? He made the little shepherds of Fatima his closest friends. The story of Fatima delighted him. He created the Eucharistic and Marian exhibitions and researched all Our Lady's titles. And it was in Fatima that he was truly enchanted.
So he went to Fatima?
Several times. He went to Fatima.
Jerusalem not?
Jerusalem not. Jesus stayed in the tabernacle, so Carlo didn't want to go there.
Scolding his father.
But of course, like a good Italian, every October 7th, consecration to Madonna di Pompeii, similar to Our Lady of Aparecida for us. For Italians, she's the Lady of the Rosary of Pompeii.
But has Mistress Antonia already formed a relationship with Our Lady of Aparecida?
Yes, I believe so. In fact, we brought her an image of Our Lady of Aparecida. It's because, you see, for Italians, it's enough for her to be Our Lady. These things about the titles. It was Carlo who wanted to do this nicely. His attachment was with Our Lady of Fatima, but it's enough for her to be Our Lady for them to like her, you know? This relationship with Our Lady is fascinating. Very, very beautiful.
Of all the photos of Carlo, one of them really stands out. Why are this photo and this outfit so significant in his story?
Or were they?
Why was this image chosen to represent Carlo? It's even here in this picture, right?
Interesting.
Is there any reason?
Well, he's up there on Mount Sebaggio, up in Assisi on one of his hikes with Mistress Antonia. When he went by bike, he took Mistress Antonia on foot. Mistress Antonia said that Carlo was great for these things and he liked Mount Sebaggio. There he is just a few months before his death, right? And I think that because it was the most recent photo of him, it really shows what he was like when he died. And it really represents the young people of our time.
Look at the watch, the little sunglasses, the polo shirt, the shorts.
Did he already have leukemia here?
Look at this interesting thing. Carlo's leukemia was discovered right before he died.
Nobody knew on this day here?
Nobody knew. He knew he would die.
Before they found leukemia?
Yes, he knew 3 months before he died and left a recorded video. Kind of prophesying, I'm ready to die, sono destinato a morire. And look how interesting in this video. Right after he died, a few days later, Mistress Antonia had a dream about him. And in the dream, he said to her, Mamma, il testamento, Mamma, il testamento. He said this 3 times, Mamma, il testamento.
What testament it was that...
She asked the question, then got up to speak to her mother, Luana. Mom, I dreamed about Carlo, and he mentioned a will, but I don't recall him leaving one. That's when she remembered. They remembered Luana, the grandmother. That's when they remembered, have you seen his computer? Mistress Antonia ran to the room and grabbed the laptop. As soon as she opened it and turned it on, the video appeared. Sono destinato a morire. They missed the part where he said, when I reach 70 kilos, sono destinato a morire. He died at 70 kilos. Only he knows why 70, perhaps because 7 is considered God's perfect number.
How did they find out about the leukemia, and what was that process like?
I'll tell you how Luana told me. We were there.
Who is Luana?
Luana is Carlo's maternal grandmother.
I think I have a photo of her here.
Is she this one?
Yes, Luana, Carlo's grandmother. Exactly.
How old is she?
Today, 87.
And what did she say?
Luana, grandma, we called her grandma. How was it? How did you find out? Because Carlo didn't have anything. She said this, it was a Sunday. They were at a restaurant. They went out for lunch. She told me this, grandma. She said Carlo was always close to her, playing and staying by her side. She said she saw a small red spot on his face. Then she said, what is it, Carlo? He said, well, grandma, it must have been a mosquito bite. It's all right. The next day he went to school. Then when the end of the day came, he ran to his grandma and said, Grandma, I'm kind of achy, not feeling well and all. Then she touched him and saw that he had a bit of a fever. This was at the end of September, around September 30th. She noticed he had a slight fever, gave him medicine, and told him to sleep. It must have been because you had physical education today, and so on. The next day when he woke up, he went straight to his grandmother's room and said, Nonna, I peed blood. Then, whoa, that's serious.
Was he upset when he said that? Was he worried?
No, he just told her, I peed blood, Nonna. Carlo always had a calm, peaceful expression. He knew, right? So he returned to the room, she said. She then called Antonia to come. After that, he left in an ambulance. Because he couldn't feel his legs anymore when he arrived at San Gerardo Hospital in Monza. They do the blood test there, as you've seen before. He had M3 type leukemia.
Where was he living at that time?
Milan. They stayed in Assisi during the holidays.
Vacation.
Only during the holidays. Because he studied at EM3ATOS there. He was in high school.
That's curious.
EM3 and 14. Who will canonize him? See that. Carlo has things, my son, that only God knows.
So, he studied at EM3ATOS school and will be canonized by EM14.
And when he got to the hospital, he said, I'm not leaving here. Only to heaven, he said to his mother.
But not in despair. Wasn't he crying?
Very calm. He calmed everyone down. Luana and his mother stayed with him throughout. The doctors knew he was in terrible pain because he was having a kind of thrombosis, until it led to a stroke.
There's no explanation, correct?
No, it was very calm. Doctors would ask, Carlo, are you in pain? The Pope suffers more than I do. At the time, Benedict XVI faced global criticism and offered his suffering as a sacrifice for the Pope. Is anyone suffering more than I am? My pain is small compared to the Pope's. That was his capacity.
But was he referring to Pope Benedict's mission, not health issues?
So being attacked by everyone, right? At the start of his pontificate in 2005, 2006, it was like that, right? As we saw the media and so on, and such sensitivity. Oh, he left. The Pope is suffering. Of course, he's not going to say, I'm suffering, but he is suffering. I offer this moment for him. If someone entered making noise while Grandma or Mom were sleeping, He was more concerned about the person next to him. Hours before he died, he went to his mom and said, "Mom, I want to confess." Mistress Antonia found the first priest there because there are chaplains there. The first priest she found whom she didn't even know. She called him to hear his confession. The priest went into the room, heard his confession, gave him the anointing, and gave him communion. When the priest left, he found Mistress Antonia in the hallway. He looked at her and said, "Your son is a saint." She said that it was the first time she heard someone speak strongly about her son's holiness.
And priest didn't even know Carlo?
He didn't even know Carlo. She never saw the priest again. She didn't even know who the priest was.
She doesn't know who he is?
He was a chaplain at San Gerardo. And hours later, Carlo died. Luana was with him when he died. The grandmother says he just looked at her and smiled. She thought he was sleeping, but the stroke had already occurred.
Is the grandfather alive too?
Deceased Mr. Antonio Salzano, Mistress Antonia's father, had already passed away.
And on your father's side?
Both of them are alive.
Were they an assist then when you lived there?
No. Carlo's paternal grandparents aren't very close to him. No. They live in Turin. They're Andrea's parents. Andrea's family is more skeptical.
Actually, Carlo's own father is skeptical.
No, not at all. Carlo's father is fascinating. He's just human. He's charming. He's a man of few words, extremely rational, someone who works behind the scenes. He doesn't even like to have his picture taken. He doesn't even appear in public. Mistress Antonia, on the other hand, is an Italian woman who makes her presence known. The father also has a British background. He's the son of a Polish man and an English woman. He has a background that's very... He spent his life abroad, living in Switzerland, England, and elsewhere. He's very disciplining, but also very rational.
Was he a present father?
Present in Carlo's life, not so much as he is present in the twins' lives.
Why?
They were very concerned with attending the British court, the glamorous big dinners. They were invited in Europe because they were one of the richest families in Europe, Mistress Antonia included. Now she has just 5 dresses in her closet and turns down all invitations.
Was Carlo abandoned when he was a boy?
No. If we look at it from an emotional point of view like Brazilians do, he was. They cared more about showing off. And Rodrigo, look at that. I'm about to say something. Carlo had a great inspiration. Carlo's greatest inspiration was Francis of Assisi.
I was going to say exactly that. How does that bring him closer to St. Francis?
Yes, I always say Carlo is the new Francesco. In their own proportions. Of course, Francesco is Francesco. But Carlo accomplished what Francesco couldn't, his father's conversion. Francesco gave up because he couldn't do that. "Oh, Father, everything is yours. I don't want any of this." And he went off to live among the lepers. Carlo made his family find a purpose for their wealth. That was beautiful. So he was a light-hearted boy, as Luana used to say. My grandson was quick, he was light, he was sunny, he was bright. He changed the family dramatically. Parents today, it's always Carlo at every meal. They live through their son's charisma. That was the most fascinating thing. He didn't give up on his family. So what would abandonment be? It was a great meeting.
And their dispossession happened.
Yes.
Of all the wealth?
Man, they didn't stop being rich. I think they're even richer than before Carlo.
Where does the wealth come from?
They're the Acutis family, the wealth of the Acutis family, right? They own, if not the largest, one of the largest insurance companies in Europe, an insurance network. Carlo's paternal grandfather was frustrated because he wanted Carlo to become a great CEO. The powerful leader of the Acutis Empire, which Carlo wanted nothing to do with.
What's the name of the company?
Victoria Assicurazione.
Is Victoria the name of someone who came before them?
There you go. Good question. I don't know.
Is there no one named Acutis at the company?
No, there isn't. Very discreet. Carlo never told his friends who he was or whose son he was. That's how simple he was, right? Carlo's father's family tried harder. So much so that they thought of Carlo as the great president of everything. Carlo didn't want anything to do with that, right? Because he has a cousin, the daughter of his father's sister. But today, the one who takes care of everything is Carlo's father, who is already quite old, his grandfather, but it's Carlo's father who is the president of everything.
Does he still work?
He still works.
What was it like after Carlo died?
After he died, was he buried in Assisi?
He was buried in Monza and then in the family tomb there in the Milan region. And then Mistress Antonia transferred the body to Assisi.
What year was that?
The transfer of Carlo's body was, if I'm not mistaken, before the 2nd anniversary of his death.
Why did she make that change?
It was his request and there was no burial plot then. Later a new section was built in Assisi Cemetery. As soon as she arrived, she bought it and took Grandpa and Carlo there.
And is that grave still there today?
Yes, Grandpa, Mr. Antonio Salzano.
Is there still any reference to Carlo?
Yes, there's still a marker. Here was buried Carlo Acutis.
Afterwards, did he stay in that cemetery until 2013?
Yes, he did.
When did Dom Domenico Sorrentino come in and perform the exhumation?
Carlo was exhumed in 2018 when he was declared venerable because the Vatican requires exhumation.
For what purpose do you take a body out of the ground?
It's part of the procedure in the canonical process. Look how interesting. All sainthood candidates eventually end up buried in the cemetery. He has to be exhumed so that the remains can be transferred to a church or a sanctuary as determined by the local bishop or by the Vatican itself.
Because do they become first-class relics, right?
Because of the relics, he is no longer an ordinary person and will gain a higher status. So his mortal remains are transferred to a place of veneration where they can be venerated. It's a normal procedure, and to everyone's surprise, Carlo was intact.
Intact?
Intact.
Because Dom Domenico told me that from what he had, from what was found in the tomb, a layer of wax was placed on top.
I saw everything.
Wasn't that it?
No. He was completely fine, son.
Hold on, the Bishop of Assisi.
Yes, it's due to the controversy between incorrupt and intact. The bishop, to calm the situation, said that what was done was a treatment. I went in, saw and smelled everything, the body being treated.
Smell of what?
I think it was from the materials they were using to mummify him.
Smell of resin, glue?
Acid, salt, something like that. I think they did the hydration using salt.
But let's clarify.
When they opened the coffin of Carlo Acutis,
it was intact. Wasn't it a mummy?
No, it was a mummified body dried out.
Dehydrated, a dehydrated corpse.
It didn't look that good.
No, but it wasn't ugly either. Even dead, he was still handsome. I looked at his nails, his skin, everything was perfect.
Yeah, they say that nails grow.
They do. All the hair fell out, it came off the scalp. He was kind of smiling, like from the side. When they opened him up, his internal organs were all intact. What does intact mean?
Were you there? Did you see it?
Yes, I saw it 2 days later.
Then tell me.
It was emotional, man. I'd never seen a body unearthed before. And suddenly I witnessed it, Carlos. It was the first time. I was really moved, honestly. That big guy, 6 feet tall, lying there. But in front of a mummy, weren't you scared? No.
I was overjoyed. It was beautiful to see. What smell did you notice at that moment before you got to the preservation materials just in front of the body? Was there any smell?
No, I remember it like it was today. No, after the chemicals were there, yes. But I don't know. It was so exciting that I barely noticed the smell, but I wanted to see. I wanted to look like this. Wow, it's real, guys. It didn't decompose, obviously. That's not what made Carlo a saint. If sainthood was about what remained, Saint Francis wouldn't be a saint, since nothing was left, not even dust. But it's still a sign, because Carlo didn't decompose at all. He resists time. Then after the treatment, he was completely mummified. A silicone mask was put on, not wax, it's silicone. Here on the hands, on what would be visible. A week earlier, Mistress Antonia helped dress him, bringing his study pants. My son used to dress like this, she said. But he was already fully mummified. Now he truly won't decompose. He was just skin and bones, Rodrigo. That's it, skin and bones, completely dried out. Skin and bones.
Is it like a mummy?
Like a mummy.
But whole.
Whole, that's why the word intact, whole, complete.
So is it not incorrupt?
No, look, incorruptibility being intact is actually a level of incorruptibility. Incorrupt, only the body of Jesus who rose from the dead.
Exactly, no saint has an incorrupt body.
We use it because due to our language, we get confused. Italian makes a clear distinction, right? Intact and incorrupt we confuse, just like we mix up soul and spirit, they're different. But we say that the soul is the spirit, that spirit is the soul, and one thing has nothing to do with the other.
Is that a Brazilian imprecision?
Portuguese allows for a lot of things. Sometimes 4 words to say the same thing. One word would prevent confusion. Soul means soul, spirit means spirit. But to keep it simple, we just say, all right, son, your soul. The souls in purgatory are the spirits.
The soul is inside the body.
The soul exists as long as there is life. And soul comes from Latin anima, meaning that which gives life. Does a dog have a soul? Yes, because it's alive. Does a plant? Yes, for the same reason. The soul gives life. It makes things move and live.
That's what the Greeks said.
And not spirit, it's what transcends, it's something else. But then we say that the soul is the spirit. Everyone also says incorrupt and intact, but incorrupt means a living, resurrected body.
Look, and the body of Saint Rita is an intact body.
Intact. One of the oldest in the church. Nothing was used on this one.
This one it's a mummy.
Extremely dried out.
The hand is very, very dry. Dry, dry, dry. It's even twisting, right? Dry. I'll even say it like this. There's a side that's holiness that you can see there, but it's a little scary too it's an image of death.
Right. Hers was before they used today's procedures with a silicone mask filling in with wax like some do. Padre Pio also has a silicone mask. With Padre Pio, you can see he doesn't have the fingers. They left it like that. They didn't put silicone on them. With Carlo, the hand was truly perfect. That's what I noticed most, his hand. The nails like this.
How long had the nails grown?
They're long and keep growing after death. And a lot of hair. So much that a lot of fallen hair. So much that many of the relics, Carlo's relics, were all made from his hair.
Ah, that's true. Now I understand why.
And from the internal organ, some fragments. I brought his relics. Do you want to see them?
I do.
Can you show them now?
Of course. I didn't know. Otherwise, I would have wanted to see it already.
So let's go. First relic of Carlo.
Now I get your little suitcase. It has a bunch of stuff.
Yes, this suitcase is sacred. Look, let's go.
Let me clear some space. I'll take this out.
They travel with me. This one, Rodrigo, is ex corpore.
Can I take it?
You can. You can look right in the center.
Ex corpus?
Ex corpore, a fragment of the body. It's there, right in the middle, a little dot.
Ex corpore.
Carlo Acutis. And what's here?
It's a fragment of the body from some internal organ that was fragmented. Only the heart remained intact. That's what will be used for the canonization.
It's a small fragment.
Small fragment.
And what about this material here?
This reliquary is a beautiful reliquary. It's a Polish reliquary in the shape of a flower.
It reminds me of the reliquary in Paris holding Saint Catherine Labouraise's heart, which is also very beautiful.
These are 3 small strands of hair.
So there will be many strands of hair from Carlo Acutis.
Many. It's also called ex corporis, first-class relics, because it's the body, skin, nails, organs. All of that is called ex corpore. And the other is a small piece of his belt, which was there when he was exhumed.
Here, this greenish part?
Yes, that's 2nd degree.
Ah, 3 small hairs. I see them here.
Look.
Let me leave it here.
Do you want to see anything else from Carlo?
Yes, for sure.
It's a beautiful story. For years, whenever I went there, I visited his grave with Mistress Antonia. And we cleaned the petals that fell on the grave because his grave was always full of flowers at the cemetery there in Assis. And I kept those petals in a bag. I brought them to my house and left those petals there. Later, Rodrigo, we started noticing a phenomenon. Those petals wouldn't wither. The flowers on Carlo's grave stayed intact and alive as if they were connected. Someone had them analyzed in a lab. They say the petals keep going as if still nourished by the stem.
Are they considered relics?
Yes, they are.
2nd class. 3rd class?
3rd.
What makes the 2nd one different?
Didn't it touch his body?
This one is from 2017. It looks like it's alive just the same. It doesn't wither. Some days it even gets dewy.
What flower is it?
Flowers, they were all different colors. I can't really tell you. They were roses.
Were there others?
There were also actual rose petals. You can look at her small veins.
It looks like it fell yesterday, today.
It's a phenomenon. This one is 8 years old. This petal. Right? And the relics are divided into degrees, first, second, and third. Third degree is something that has touched the major relic. The sheet that wrapped Carlo. The sheet that wrapped Carlo. It becomes a third degree relic. Right here, I brought one to give you as a gift.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Here, this little sheet, such a small piece. They're cut up, right? Small pieces.
Ex linteo recognitionis. Recognizione.
It was touched on his body. Second degree is what belonged to him. I brought another item I have from him to show you. You said to bring everything, so here it is. I have a t-shirt of his, and I also have his cycling helmet. But I couldn't bring it because I was in Africa. But I want to show you his geography notebook. Just a few pages written only at the beginning. And a math test. This one is from May 23rd, 2002.
This one is from a year before he died.
Yes. Look at his handwriting.
Can I touch it?
You can... I placed plastic on top.
Ah, I see. It's protected, right?
It's protected. I took this one for myself, and these little math tests are...
Were you able to figure out why he wrote it? Rome, New York, Los Angeles?
The big cities there, right? Something like that. You know, I didn't even stop to really read that, Rodrigo.
You have many steps ahead.
One of these days I'll read everything, and I'll even translate that later. Those geography things from Carlo, they listed the major centers. Milano, New York... It's really interesting, isn't it?
And this other one?
This is his math test.
Also a little earlier.
This is from 2002 when he was in elementary school.
It's more childish, right? Even the drawing here.
Yeah, much more childish. Two of his math tests.
What grade did he get? There's no grade, right?
There are only the corrections, right? Inside you see like one correction or another.
But look how interesting. He used the computer a lot.
It also says here, prezzo del computer.
Price of the computer. The teacher then corrected, not prezzo, costo.
Ah, sì, costo.
Look at this interesting material. Very interesting.
But it's a lot, right? From this boy in such a short time, right? Young people feel like this, like, question. There you go. It's second degree relics are what belong to someone, while first degree relics come from the body itself.
Why is the sheet third degree and the notebook second degree?
Because this belonged and was touched to the body. Okay, so belongings, second degree. First degree from the body itself. They're called ex corpore. Third degree, anything touched. Touch his body with a sheet and it becomes third degree.
There's no distinction between a first degree relic of a saint, for example, and a piece of the cross of Jesus, which is also first degree.
It's second degree, right?
Yeah, there isn't.
There's nothing that makes Jesus superior to others in that way, right?
No. Imagine. And another thing.
It's a slight imprecision.
And Jesus resurrected. There's nothing like that, right? Of the first degree. The Eucharist is the first degree that we partake in.
Is the empty tomb of the second degree?
Yes. Carlo's room, his environment as well.
No, I meant Jesus' tomb, the Holy Sepulchre, right?
Yes.
Is Carlo room still preserved?
They're building the Carlo Acutis Memorial on Mount Subasio. Up there, Mistress Antonia bought a small farm where there's a Via Sacra, where people will meet. She wants to host priests in Assisi who need a place to stay. She's taking everything, the computer, backpack, and his things.
She does this with the family's money.
With the family's money, the family's money. She never took anything from the church, despite Carlo being from there. Mistress Antonia is very generous.
And is she fully dedicated with her time?
All for her son, completely.
Because some people go to Assisi and end up meeting her. How does that happen?
She is the living message of her Son today.
But does she accept meetings?
Yes, she is very simple. Rodrigo, while I lived with Mistress Antonia that year, I never saw her in a bad mood or sad. Always smiling, always telling jokes, always laughing. She greets and hugs everyone. I took 40 people and asked, Mistress Antonia, please say hi to my group. She went there, hugged everyone, talked to everyone.
She was transformed by her Son.
She was. There's no way to go back anymore. You can't go back anymore.
Is she on the path to holiness?
I'm going to say something here pretty bold. There's no heredity for this. The father of Mistress Antonia, Mr. Antonio Salzano, for whom she always prays for, and Carlo too, for his father's conversion. The father was kind of easygoing, you know. He wasn't very Catholic, no. Yeah. He's a relative, a cousin, if I'm not mistaken, second or third degree of Saint Julia Salzano, who is a saint and founder of a congregation, who in turn is a relative of Saint Afonso Maria de Ligorio.
Saint Afonso de Ligorio founded the Redemptorist order.
Who take care of Aparecida?
Who take care of Aparecida? So if we make this connection of ours, then heredity, if that's true, I'm doomed. I'll never be a saint. There are no saints in my family. No, that's not it. Still, it's a nice coincidence.
But Rodrigo, I think that thing, right?
A negative saying, opportunity creates thieves. I think everyone has the seed. It was planted inside you. What is often missing from holiness? Is it the favorable environment? It could be. I think that helps. Carlo awakened that seed in his mother and father. But then you could also say the opposite. Not to justify those who have nothing to do with it. They became saints without any seed, right? But I think everyone has a tendency toward heaven.
Do we all have that seed?
Yes, we do.
It's emerging in some people.
But it's not always noticeable. Not always. Because often we only see the armor, what's on the outside. Look at our young people. Who do they fall in love with? By appearance, right? And God sees the essence. No one takes the time to see the essence. But appearance is what attracts me. The feeling is what attracts me from what I see with my eyes. I see from my own conception of beauty, I guess. People are initially attracted to each other, but only discover who they truly are after starting a relationship. Nah, that's how the judge was. He went beyond just the law, by the law, right? So, like, he wasn't a Pharisee. He went much further than that, right? It's like the woman who, in the middle of the crowd, touched Jesus, and Jesus felt that power had gone out from him. Who was it? Someone touched me, right? So Carlo had that sensitivity. This friend of ours, by the way, I think that's one of the strongest components in the life of a holy person. Holy in the sense of a deeper configuration with Christ. It's that they see the other person for who they are, not for how they present themselves to be. Because many times, if we want, we can create a shell. An appearance that doesn't match who you really are, even as a form of self-protection or to defend yourself from something, right? So many times we have people out there who are caricatures of themselves, photocopies of themselves. Because many times being who you are can cause in today's world contempt, prejudice, judgment, and so on and so on. And that's so sad. Because we want to live. If people could be who they really are, and not create a world or a fictional image around themselves just to live in the world. I don't know, the world is so strange, isn't it? If we start getting into the most existential side of things, it's... Coming back now from Angola, then I went in, and when I got to the room that night after, my God, how can they not look at their own people? Let people starve to death? Survival there, such misery. Where's the dignity? I don't know. It's strange what people do to themselves. And that's not the purpose for which we exist. What's it going to be? What is it? If we're going to discuss the existential philosophical perspective, I don't know We go into crisis.
Father Fábio Vieira, I have a suggestion to help us avoid a crisis.
Let's end our first act and move on to the second act.
Let's go. I've tried many times to run away from crises, but I think they're necessary.
Yes. I'm not saying they're not at all. I agree. It's uncomfortable. It's important to face it.
When you're in it, it's terrible.
Did you have any personally?
Many crises like that. From time to time, I have them.
Did you have a crisis of faith?
I've never had a crisis of faith.
And what about your profession?
But never about my calling. Because I had my time when I left the seminary. I was away for 6 years. When I came back, I was ordained at 33 years old. I already knew what I wanted. Of course, if I had to live again, I wouldn't want to be a priest. No.
No.
Why?
If I could live again, I'd want to be something else. I've already faced the hardships of being a priest. I don't want to repeat that.
But priests like one thing.
Okay.
I think it's true, eating. They like to eat well.
That's right, boy.
And having a good wine too.
My son, a good Italian wine.
Mamma mia!
Andiamo.
Oh, cool. I wanted to relive it a little bit. We can't go to Assis together now, but we can bring some of Assis here.
We can.
Shall we?
Let's go.
Let's start with this proposal.
Let's go. I liked it.
Did you like it?
I liked it a lot.
We have everything here. There's water over there. There's rosemary. If you want to use it, there's pepper, mint. Whatever we have here, you can use for your
recipe.
It was one of the most practical and quickest recipes. Carlo's favorite food was spaghetti with garlic and oil. But I learned one thing, that Parmesan cheese in Italy is fantastically good. Mistress Antonia cooked daily. One day Andrea started to say something, but it was actually Michel, the guy's little brother, who spoke. Let's have Father Fábio live here forever since the food is always good. She cooked herself.
Oh, she was the one who made it.
Mistress Antonia made it. Then, one day Andrea said, Antonia, but so much food for the priest? Then she would say, he's a priest, Andrea. It was Michel who used to say, right? Michel, do you want to be a priest? Me, only if it's as a Dominican. And why Dominican, ragazzo? Because you eat a lot. Then there was an even more practical one. It's spaghetti with olive oil and Parmesan cheese.
Wow, that's good. Is this the recipe? Check it out.
Add a bit of pepperoncino for those who like it. So everything's good here, everything's fine. That's exactly it.
Do you want to do it?
Let's go.
Hey, are you listening?
Hello?
But what one thing? A fact.
You can speak in Portuguese? Portuguese, you can speak in Portuguese?
They're saying you're the devil's advocate.
Oh, damn.
That you don't know how to cook at all. That he was with you the whole time in Italy. That he doubts you'll make a good dish.
Well, let's see then. I'm not going to argue with him.
But can't you give him a chance?
All right, call again if anything comes up. Perfect. Go to the journal. Damn.
Should I call now, Father? Please take over.
Let's go.
Look, let's turn the heat down low here, okay? Because this stove is powerful.
First, can I? Let's turn it off first, okay?
Let's turn it off. I'll get water for you from here. Let's go. I'll adjust this microphone to make it look nice.
Man, this is really good, huh? So delicious.
Shall we open a wine?
Let's do it. Oops. All right, Rodrigo, where do I turn this on?
Do you want it at low? Should we use a lower flame? Let's boil the water first.
Yeah, let's boil the water first.
So I can put it on high.
This is salt, right?
So the wine we have today is Brazilian, not Italian. But I've been drinking some great Brazilian wines. We've had a really good experience.
So introduce me to a...
Do you prefer white or red?
I like red.
Doesn't the priest prefer red?
Always. It's very good. Although Italians really like to drink white wine with fish. When it's fish, seafood, those things, they drink white wine. But I actually prefer red wine.
There are great Brazilian white and red wines.
I'm going to add a good amount of salt here. So it seasons the pasta well because we're going to cook the pasta for 12 minutes to make it al dente.
What did Mistress Antonia used to cook?
She used to make a spaghetti carbonara, man. That was out of this world. And the risotto, I love it. I can make a caprese. Maybe next time. Caprese with filet mignon. Man, that's just too good, huh? Done.
I'm going to make you an offer, Father.
Go ahead.
Drink from this chalice that I brought from Jerusalem.
Wow, man, this is so beautiful. Jerusalem, huh?
What an experience, right?
Israel. Babylon is not your place. Cry, Israel. Your Lord will come to set you free.
Cheers.
Israel. Very woody. Tannin like this, very acidic, really. Different from the fruity ones, the Italians.
I didn't know this one. It was recommended to me. It's Stanato and Schoenberger. The name is German.
I don't know this grape.
Where is it from? From Rio Grande do Sul?
This wine is from Rio Grande do Sul. I've been drinking the good white ones. This one is from
Farroupilha, Rio Grande do Sul. It's Cave Antiga.
I've been enjoying good white wines from Minas Gerais.
There's a little cloth here.
So, Rodrigo, that was an amazing experience, right? Did you visit Jerusalem?
It was 4 years that changed my life in a very profound way. Very profound.
Never. I see my life as before and after Jerusalem.
Both personally and professionally.
First, experiencing a conflict that also teaches Israeli and Palestinian conflicts, and then being so close to the holy places.
We're very close to the tombs of Jesus and Mary.
So walking through all of that, living there, being a resident of the city was very profound.
Galilee is fascinating, isn't it?
I like to say that Galilee is the place where I see Jesus smiling.
Where he was at his best, where he was happy, where he preached, where he walked with joy. Because Jerusalem, those were very sad moments for Jesus. So Galilee is the place I like to go the most. Jerusalem is wonderful, but it carries the weight of Jesus' death.
It carries it. And it's that thing, everyone wants Jerusalem. Everyone wants Jerusalem. Everyone wants to feel like they own it. Something that can't be explained.
Since the time of the Canaanites?
Since 4,000 years ago.
I saw that you released a book about Our Lady of Aparecida. Wasn't it something like that?
I already have that one set aside to give you as a gift. I had separated it. I have more than one. All of those here. Look, let me show you here.
They're books. This one here.
I count the years of Jesus' life, of Jesus' preaching in this book.
And in this other one, these are versions that were released in Portugal. It's because I don't have them here, so I don't have them.
I'll give it to you later. I have the Brazilian editions, but right now I only have these two.
But this one is about Jesus and his life up to the crucifixion. This one is from the resurrection to the death of St. Paul and St. Peter.
I know you're the one asking me, but I'm going to ask you, from where was born this love, this good thing? This desire to do research like this or to put it down on paper? Did it come from some conflict, from some crisis of faith?
I'll say something. I'll say chance, and maybe you'll say providence, right? But it was life led me to this.
I studied at Santo Agostinho School. Just because it's Santo Agostinho, actually like our Pope.
Late have I loved you, right? It's ever new beauty.
Which is a late conversion, right?
I studied at Santo Agostinho School. I had very close contact with Spanish priests, who taught me not only to enjoy the stories of the New Testament, but also to listen to and tell stories.
It stayed with me. I came back to São Paulo after living in the United States as a correspondent.
And I went to write a book about Our Lady of Aparecida because I wanted to tell the story of something that was very Brazilian.
It wasn't a religious investigation, it was a cultural, historical investigation about Brazil.
But then while I was writing this book, I was invited to move to Jerusalem, and I finished writing the book Aparecida in Jerusalem, experiencing all of this. My son, on our first day, my Jewish neighbor took me to the Holy Sepulchre of Jesus. He pushed the stroller with my son while Christina and I visited the tomb. Experiences like this begin to change you. So there I started to have a deeper experience. I began to research and write about it. So the transformation happened. Here's what I think. Chance doesn't really exist. You just use chance as it comes and shape it however you want. And I chose to write this book.
Perfect, since chance has no reason to exist. No, but what comes from him?
We can transform it.
We can...
I took your place. It's here.
Everything happens for a reason. Congratulations, my son.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Look, your fire here is good, man. It's almost ready.
It's really strong.
Wow.
Look, there's also something here from Jerusalem.
Ah, menorah. What fascinates you most about Jewish culture?
The love for family is very strong. The care for family, the care that Jews have for each other, the attachment to caring for one another is very strong. That really touches me.
And the very sense of the sacredness that comes from your homeland, the land itself.
And the sacredness of the book as well, right? It's interesting to see how the Jews survived for so long because of the book, because of their attachment to traditions, right? Even while in exile, they never abandoned their traditions.
And that also means not abandoning what makes me who I am, what shapes me.
It's attachment.
For the place I come from, for the womb I come from.
Rodrigo, and what about heaven for you?
Oh, that's a question.
I'm in the kitchen with you, but I'm also questioning you.
Great, great, great. The kitchen is exactly that place. It's the place where we really open up, right? Milton Nascimento says that the kitchen, how does it end? He says, if the conversation ends up in the kitchen, you're already family. That's better for you.
And what about heaven for you?
Heaven. I'm trying to understand it. It's complicated, right?
You talk about heaven as the expectation of this place where we want to go, we hope to go. But that's enough, right, Rodrigo?
All right, all right.
You and me, right?
Later, we can also give it to the team that's here, right? So it's no problem.
Look, if we think about it, if we think from the point of view of heaven, the place, we're going to be frustrated because heaven is not a place. It's not. It's a state. Yeah, it's not a place. It's a state of being.
Yes, yes.
But from a spiritual point of view for you, do you believe
that there is this state that takes us to a place we could call heaven?
Yes. That's interesting.
I don't know. I don't know, Father. I don't know.
Do you know what I sometimes think in my immanence, in my humanity? We bet our whole lives from a vocational point of view on the perspective of heaven. If it doesn't exist, there's not even anyone to rebel against or complain to.
But do you have this question?
No, I had. In theology, I had some conflicts, as you asked, especially a major one about death.
What is the conflict?
I couldn't accept dying. I asked, why must I die if this is good? Even with pain, with suffering, and with problems.
Living is very good.
Today I don't feel that way anymore, but there was a time when thinking about dying was really annoying.
But you like living.
I love living.
I can see it. Ever since you walked into this room right there, I can see that you like living.
But every day I'm more aware of life's limits.
Yes.
You know? So Rodrigo, the feeling today is that I want to live every moment, every instant as if it were the first and the last. Because the perspective of time is minimal now. I'm already in the second half. I've passed 40, biblically speaking, the necessary time. 40 is the turning point. What follows only grows. The quality is different.
At 45, there's that odd coincidence with the soccer game, right?
There's a first half. It ends at 45, right? At 45 years old, I decided that I wanted to leave Globo TV. I decided that I wanted to live a different life. You said earlier, in the next life, I wouldn't be a priest. I said, no, I might have another 45 years. Maybe I'll reach 90. I don't want this life anymore. I want to try something different.
Because death can come at any moment.
But from 0 to 40, that's how it is. It's a different perspective. There's vitality. Now it's like this. I feel no limitation.
Are you talking physically?
Physically too. I don't feel any limitation yet, in that sense. But it's different because you look back. You already see what you've achieved. You've already seen what you've produced. And now you're in the phase of enjoying it. You can't play around with starting over anymore. Everything has to be very precise because there's no perspective of time. You're not a young person, a teenager anymore who can play around with starting and stopping whenever you want. Wasting time partying all night or anything like that? No. Today, everything after 40 becomes a sacred perspective.
And it has much bigger consequences.
Much. Everything weighs more.
But why are you worried about death?
No, I'm just reflecting and living in the moment, When I bring things up to reflect on, it's like I go back in time and face something again just to say, not today. Today, I even see that it's necessary to die. It's necessary to die. Do you understand? So the question of not dying doesn't bother me anymore because I'm already aware that eternity isn't here anyway.
That's it.
But was it hard to reach that awareness, Father? Because we always think, well, in theory, a priest, he's sure that there's a life waiting for him after this one. But it's not like that, right? Priests are human too.
They are. In fact, Rodrigo, one of the big difficulties, in fact, one of the, I wouldn't say crises, but questions often is that people don't understand the humanity of the priest. Sometimes they expect a lot from us. We have to be ready whenever people need us to go and visit the sick, those who have died and so on. The day you say no, you're not appreciated. People speak badly about you. I also learned how to deal with that, so I don't waste good candles on bad corpses anymore.
What does that mean, not wasting good candles?
I don't care about what people say, what they talk about. The one who knows about me is me. In the end, it's between me and God. It's not between me and others. So I don't care. You know why? It's one thing for someone who lives with me day in and day out to say something about me. That carries weight. Someone who doesn't know me or my life, their words mean nothing. Remember when Jesus was with the apostles? He asked, what are they saying about me? Who do they think I am? They replied, some say you're John the Baptist or someone else. Okay, and you? Who do you say I am?
He said that he was the Christ.
What matters to me is who walks with me and understands my pain, suffering, joys, and sorrows.
Wow, you.
That's why the person living with you could become your biggest enemy, unlike someone far away.
Why?
Because the person who's with you every day knows your weak points, knows everything about you, It's not the ones who are far away, man. It's the ones who are close. Most of the betrayals of politicians came from their wives.
That's true. For former President Collor, it was his brother.
It's the ones who are close. That's why, man, after a certain age, you really have to know who you bring close to you. Who adds value? Today I'm more selective. Much more. Imagine, before I thought I was the savior of the world and I wanted to solve everyone's problems.
Invite everyone.
As a priest, I was sent deep into the Pantanal where there hadn't been one in over a century. There I was a doctor, a lawyer, a judge, I was everything. I suffered persecution and did everything I could to try to evangelize and bring morals.
Persecution from whom? Persecution?
Persecution from people because I changed the structure there. For example, where I lived, deep in the Pantanal, there was a big problem with prostitution. So suddenly the priest arrives there to catechize and evangelize and wants to change the reality. That bothered certain people. There was a time when I was even threatened with death.
What type of person? I'm not asking who, just what type.
People who were connected to that issue.
Prostitution?
Yeah.
Criminals?
Yes, because there was, look, over there it's fishing tourism, and when people went there, sometimes the brothels were included in the packages, and they made money from that.
Sex tourism?
Of the fishermen who visited.
Do you want some water, Father?
Huh? Do you want some water? No, not yet. I'm still having wine. Wow, this is going to be delicious.
Go ahead, man. This fire is strong.
So, look, when was that? About 15 years ago. My first parish was a big challenge. I want sparkling water. I like it. It was a big challenge, but that's how it is. It's part of it. It was the spice.
Do you continue there or not?
From there, I went to the parish, to the cathedral, and today I'm in the city of Ladario, which is next to Corumba in Mendalvo. The sanctuary is Our Lady of Remedies. These experiences only enriched my life, you know. But when you're living it, you suffer because you want to help everyone and nobody understands the help you want to give. Humans are selfish. If things benefit me, it's fine, but if you bother me, you must go. That's how it is.
Did the death threat ever come close to something actually happening?
No, it didn't.
What a rain, by the way.
It's a blessing. It's a blessing. To wash us, especially with this wine, my God. I usually say it's the spice of life. Of course, nowadays I wouldn't do even a third of what I used to do as a young priest. Today, as I told you,
What would you do differently?
that's the thing. You're constantly challenged here. There's no way you can. With the mindset I have today, me, for example, I wouldn't even have agreed to go there.
If I hadn't agreed, none of this would have happened.
I wouldn't have matured. I wouldn't have the perspective I have today.
Because that, whether you like it or not, made you a better human being.
Because then you come to some conclusions. People sometimes need what they build themselves. So I'm not the one who's going to change. Water, Rodrigo.
I think I'm paying for some sin. The moment you said that,
it went down the wrong way.
This is superstition. This is superstition. It happens. It's almost al dente.
That happens to me when I'm unprepared, focused, and drink wine.
Wow, man, that's really good, you know?
Our conversation is great.
And our spaghetti too.
I loved it too.
It will be, yeah, Rodrigo, but you know, it's really good, you know. I only knew you from television. I saw you from afar. I watched some of your reports in Jerusalem.
Oh, I remember that time.
You were a correspondent there.
yes.
When something happened, it was your image and it was connected. It's so interesting that some people become connected to what they do. How they nicknamed me in Brazil as father of Carlo.
Of Carlo?
I found that so affectionate, really so affectionate. Wow, I'm not even close to Carlo. Carlo is the saint, not me. But being called Carlo's priest carries a weight.
What's your group's name? How does it work?
It's the Devoted Apostolate of Acutis Brazil.
What does it mean?
It's a civil association of the faithful. We gathered a group we created. And our goal is to help people, especially institutions that fight against childhood cancer. Wherever I go on a mission, I always go to the cancer hospital. I recently visited Africa, where we raised and donated 10,000 reis together. I went to Lar Amigos de Jesus in Fortaleza, and we gave 5,000 reais at Lar Nossa Senhora de Fátima in Fortaleza and at NAC in Recife.
How do you get this money to donate?
There's Carlinha, right? She's part of our group. We created the CNPJ and people donate. Then Carlinha is the one who takes care of that. Carla, she's a young woman from Minas Gerais.
Oh, she accompanies you?
That's right. Then Rodrigo.
Is she the one who arrived here, who's with us now?
No, that's Thaisa. It's another young woman with us. And there's another one in Fortaleza, 2 ladies and a young woman. Carlo and I brought many people together in Brazil. Then everyone donates 10 reais, 5 reais every month. We collect it. Then once a year we donate all that money. It's so good to do this. It was Carlo's allowance, you know. Almost. It's almost there. He already let his friend go. Look.
Now tell me something. Did you learn anything from the Italians? Or did you already know how to cook?
No. I actually learned to cook with them. We used to hang out in the kitchen, chatting with Mistress Antonia while she was cooking, you know, so...
Then I started doing it myself and kept learning. But risotto became my specialty since it's my favorite food along with spaghetti.
So we should have made risotto today. That means I have to come back, right?
Yeah.
That's good. Good company has to come back.
Then we have to say, send it here from Fabrino.
It's really raining, huh?
Yeah. And what about this new project of yours here, Rodrigo?
Or
EM3ATOS.
Yeah.
it was the need I had to talk to people.
Since you're in communications, you can't avoid that.
After I stopped being a reporter. As a reporter, you visit places, pursue stories, and talk to people.
I miss talking to people.
And that's so good. This moment we're having here, we've probably been talking for 2 hours. It's so valuable to me.
This is so transformative. I think we end up transforming each other in some way, right?
Of course, the focus is on you. I'm listening and it feels good. I'm learning all the time, and I'm thinking and reflecting, and tomorrow I'll keep reflecting.
So this has a very powerful effect.
Can I throw something else into the reflection?
Please.
Saint John is an apostle who really...
Saint John the Baptist or Saint John the Evangelist?
Saint John the Evangelist, the ragazzo of the group, the youngest of the apostles. The one who talks about love the most is John. John quickly understood the Deus Caritas Est, the God is love, to the point of saying that he was the most beloved disciple.
But here we're going to disagree a little bit, okay?
But it wasn't because Jesus loved him more than the others. His experience was so deeply loving and unique that he felt unique. In fact, when we feel loved by Christ, we are unique. The others didn't understand this perspective. Everyone ran away.
Ah, who stayed until the cross?
There was no one.
Who stayed until the cross? Only love can do that. Only those who love.
I always try to understand the attitude of the other apostles at the cross, because they were being persecuted and understood that they needed to continue Jesus' mission.
So there is also a need there to preserve oneself in order to continue the mission.
And one of them, which I didn't say, I don't know if it was John, that's where I said I would disagree, because it's not stated that it was John.
But tradition and 99.99% of Christians believe that it was John.
This apostle, whoever he is, was there to accompany the women, but the others also needed to preserve themselves.
I understand their decision not to be there.
My view of those who write history is difficult.
How do you feel about this moment? Look, you see a Pedro, a rougher man, maybe the uneducated one of the group, the fisherman. He left his family, a natural leader. That's why Jesus chooses him to lead the group. The perspective of love goes through a different atmosphere. Although Jesus was trying to explain what true love was, the agape, John understood it faster. Maybe because he was the least expected, the youngest of the group. And if you look there, if you look at the painting of the Last Supper, there's a hierarchy there. Who was closest? Peter, James, and John. Judas was at the end. And he was the scholar, the one who had a degree, who studied economics, who had more knowledge than the others. Still, he was the betrayer. Look, man, we can study these guys. Jesus only chose complicated people to be close to him. For what? So that precisely they could be molded. That's why we call it love. I think little John understood that faster. Due to their life experiences, the others found it harder to understand. They only came to understand it later on, with death itself. And João earlier. In the same way, look how beautiful this is. In the same way, it's the mother who raises the 5 children she has.
Maria?
No, I'm saying it's usually the mother.
Ah, yes. I thought you were talking about when I said Maria, because since the others are introduced as Jesus' siblings, in some way she took care of them.
Yes, there's no way around it, Rodrigo. Always, at home, for example, there are 4 of us siblings. So at home, there are 4 of us, 2 men and 2 women. Our upbringing was the same, but my mother raised me differently than my youngest brother. Everything changes and becomes different. Everything in life is filtered through who you are, through what you carry. Later, you'll gain clarity about things, some sooner, some later, and some never. You can put out the fire, Rodrigo. Let's go here now.
Do you want anything?
Ah, there's a strainer over there to drain the water. I'll take it there. Don't worry.
I'll help you. I'll arrange it right now.
Want help taking that off?
Let's go.
I think you always have to put oil in this pan. I don't like to finish without oil.
There, that's good. Hey, did you show it already?
This is my small contribution to your work.
Let's go.
Hey, my friend. That's it, that's it, that's it.
Wonderful.
I'm going to steal a little bit of this.
Look, I didn't put much salt here because I hope...
It's good on salt.
Because I hope that the Parmesan has plenty of salt. You mean that the Parmesan is salty, right?
Uh-huh.
Then it's going to give a hole. You don't need to light the fire anymore. Actually, is the love. It's what moves everything. Someone who doesn't love is very unfortunate. I really like Corinthians 13, you know, which is the hymn to love, right, by St. Paul, which is exactly what you're talking about, right?
Without love, nothing is worth it, right?
There's a writer who's very... I believe he's already passed away. Do you know Rubem Alves?
No, Rubem Alves, no.
He says this: to love is to have a bird perched on your finger. I think this sentence is very beautiful.
Isn't that sentence very Franciscan?
In other words, not in a cage. Sometimes we mistake love for imprisoning someone, a sense of possession, you know. That's not all. Love brings freedom. Love leads you to freedom.
Where was your childhood?
The first part of it was in Fortaleza. Then from 18 years old on, it was here in Sorocaba in the countryside of Sao Paulo.
That's why your accent hasn't changed, right?
Hey!
Let's go. I'll turn on the light there.
The internet's patron wouldn't let us down.
No, man. I was already thinking differently.
That the person who set this up was the one who gave that phone?
Not a person, right? That thing that gave...
The phone. A lawyer there.
Trying to interfere. But he can't.
No, right?
Evil never wins. It gets in the way, it causes trouble, but it doesn't win. Because the essence of evil is to self-destruct. Evil harms itself.
And this spaghetti, what's it called?
Look. Spaghetti and olive oil from Father Fábio Vieira. Yeah, because it was something I came up with there. Mistress Antonia bought a lot so I could make it at home whenever I wanted. So spaghetti, man, the Parmesan from Italy is wonderful, right? Yeah, and the olive oil from there too. So like...
Parmigiano Reggiano.
It's so good. Parmigiano, troppo buono. So good.
I want to go eat that. Can I?
Yes, please.
With this or not?
Yes, then you add it to taste.
Oh, do I add it here already?
If you want to.
I wanted to see how you do it.
Well, I usually put a little bit in beforehand in general. Then everyone does it their own way. Yeah, in their own individual way. In their own individual way. Of course, Rodrigo. It all depends on the Parmesan, but the olive oil is already here. It's already taken over to make it nice. Then you add to taste, okay? Let's go.
And over in Corumbá, what's the dish you eat there?
Look, over there it's barbecue in the morning, afternoon, and night. You get it? The barbecue is really good, by the way.
Did you make barbecue for Carlo's family?
No.
Isn't that your specialty?
No, it's not. Actually, I'm not even that into meat, but I eat it. I'm not that into it, but I like meat. Done?
I'm going to make a little...
Well, Rodrigo, you add more. See if you want more Parmesan pepper or more olive oil. Now it's up to you.
Now I'm going to ask a really curious question. A question from, how do you say it? Those gossip sites?
That's not it. I'm just curious.
What is Carlo's family?
Do they eat pasta with a spoon or without a spoon?
With a spoon.
Do they use the spoon for support?
They do, the father especially. That comes from discipline, from etiquette.
Isn't there a story that in some parts of Italy this is seen as beautiful, while in others it's not? For them, that's just how they eat?
Carlo's father, yes. Mistress Antonia, no. For example, there was something that...
I'm going to borrow this spoon, and then we'll use another one here.
There was a... True. I've always been very Brazilian. I never used it.
Ah, so we can use yours on the cheese here.
I'll go straight to it here. You can...
Look, Rodrigo.
Put the microphone there.
Let's go. You can stay there. Mistress Antonia, Carlo's father wanted to die. When there was a little sauce left, Mistress Antonia would use bread to wipe it up and eat it.
Oh, you can't do that.
Carlo's father would call Antonia, Antonia, a habit from the Italian countryside. Mistress Antonia would reply, Andrea, this is the good stuff. That's right, Mistress Antonia. Let's do it. I like it too.
In the end, you take it, and in this case, you have to use...
You can add more olive oil, you see, Rodrigo.
I'll add more cheese and olive oil too.
More olive oil, more cheese, that will depend on...
I'm going to go a little overboard here, okay?
Uh-huh.
And the recipes from... What's her name?
I think a little more salt would have made it even better.
Do you want to add some?
No, but it's edible. It's great.
Carlo's grandmother, Mistress Luana.
Luana, do you have her recipes?
I have everything, right?
How did that happen?
During the pandemic, Grandma came up with something, and every time Mistress Antonia would make a different pasta for lunch. So she had the idea to write everything down. When I was about to leave, she called me, Father Fábio, I have a gift for you. I wrote down all the Italian pasta recipes I could.
Oh, was it Mistress Antonia?
Not Luana, the Nona, like this. Wow, Nona. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Because she realized how much I liked Italian food and how much I still do. By the way, when we arrive in any country in the world, when you don't know what to eat, where do you go? To the Italian place? For pizza, spaghetti, or similar.
If you come closer, the microphone will pick you up better. Look there.
Was that notebook handwritten?
By hand.
Do you have it?
I have it. It's stored at home. I didn't even remember to bring it.
So you really became part of Carlo's family?
It was very interesting. Mistress Antonia called me her oldest son. Though we're nearly the same age, she's 59 and I'm almost 52.
Almost like a sister. Maybe older in terms of age. But did she say oldest son?
She called me on Carlo's beatification day and said, Father Fábio is my oldest son. Look, Rodrigo, it's just spaghetti with olive oil and parmesan.
Wonderful, wonderful.
There's not much to invent, really.
The moment gets better when we eat together, right?
And it goes well with wine. You know this here.
Father Carlo is amazing, right? The whole world, everyone talks about him. Are you jealous because of Carlo?
Look, I've seen things out there, but I don't care. I'll be honest with you and look you in the eye. I never wanted this to happen in my life. As I said, I was just minding my business at my parish in Pantanal. I didn't ask to appear in the media. I didn't ask for this to happen. But once it did, I gave myself over to it. Just like I know there will come a time when I have to leave. I think everything in life is about timing. That's what I'm experiencing. Another thing I can tell you is that after this, I'm a better priest.
Why?
Like Carlo, I realized that a priest without the Eucharist is not truly a priest. The way I celebrate reflects how much I care, which grows with each Mass I celebrate. I also understood that a lot of things don't revolve around me and don't depend on me, but I can be one with others. And this opportunity that God gave me to meet so many people and hear so many cries makes me think and rethink more and more about how I can contribute so that people can also become better people. I'm not the solution or answer for anyone. But I know this is just a moment. And I know that it does, yes, make people jealous. Anyone who stands out in anything, whether it's in the church, at work, or at home, will get this. It's human nature. But I don't care, Rodrigo. Some things just don't bother me. That's how I see it. If it's from God, it's from God. When things work out, people will always talk. So I have good intentions, but people talk down. I think they do talk, yes, but nothing concrete has ever come to me. But you can tell by the way someone looks at you. Maybe another priest who suddenly says that I'm just trying to show off with things. Go ahead. Carlo isn't anyone's. He belongs to the church. Anyone can talk or act. I'm so happy. So much is happening around Carlo, and other priests are passionate about the spirituality too. That's great. Go ahead, you know. There's nothing about a sense of possession with anything. I've always been very detached from things.
Well, and no one can deny that you were chosen by his family. That's undeniable, even if it could have come from you. Which apparently, right, that wasn't the story.
Yes, but even if he could, there was a choice.
Yeah, and another thing, like, it's all so fleeting. I think I was part of a process for it to come true, you know, and it did come true. That's it. His biggest moment is Carlo's canonization. I don't know what comes next.
So, we can say you played a key role in this canonization.
If we could say exactly at what point...
I think that spreading the word in Brazil and having gone everywhere was a significant milestone. Man, I went, look, from one end of this country to the other. The experience was very interesting. This month I visited 2 countries. Next I'm headed to Italy and Ireland. In November I'll return to the United States to visit Florida, Massachusetts, and New York.
Always talking about Carlo.
Always talking about Carlo, always Carlo, always Carlo. You know, so like...
Is that in churches, in those places?
In churches, congresses, for example, at the National Eucharistic Congress that took place in Recife. I went on stage at 2 in the morning. There were about 20,000 young people. Something beautiful happened, which I mention in my second book. Then Rodrigo, that crowd of young people. When I left the stage, I had just finished talking about Carlo. When I came down, all those young people ran to meet me. A security guard asked, "Father, should I remove them?" I replied, "No, I'll see everyone." I saw nearly all those young people, then noticed a young man crying next to a young woman. Then I called him and he said, "No, wait." In other words, let everyone finish. When it was over, this young man came, simply threw himself into my arms, gave me a hug and started to cry. I let the young man cry. Then when he calmed down, he looked at me like this, "Father, I came here not believing in God, and I'm leaving here believing that he exists." And his girlfriend who had brought him to that meeting, he'd never gone before, she said, "I go to your things, come to mine. After you talked about Carlo, I want to confess." The next day I heard his confession at the hotel. Then he went to Mass. Wow, that was beautiful.
And it's been like that on the road, right?
Yes, there are a lot of testimonies, Rodrigo. Really, a lot. How is that possible? Someone like that? It's from Brazil to the world. It's not from Italy to the world. Carlo Acutis' devotion spread globally from Brazil. Few knew of him until the miracle in Brazil. It's from Brazil to the world, and Carlo Acutis. It's not from Italy to the world.
And there's something interesting, right? Dom Domenico also speaks Portuguese. Carlo's mother learned Portuguese.
She's preparing to come to Brazil, you know.
Oh, really? When is she coming?
I was with her in April and stayed at their house. "Father Fábio, when I go, you'll be with me." Wow, Mistress Antonia. So look. In 2027, Brazil will host the National Eucharistic Congress, a major event. She was invited last time in Recife but couldn't come.
Who organizes it?
The CNBB. In this case, the host will be Goiânia, the Archdiocese of Goiânia, in 2007. And she said that after Carlo's canonization, she will come to Brazil. I think of Mistress Antonia at a big event. She wants to come to the shrine of Aparecida. The Eucharistic Congress could be when all of Brazil comes to meet her. Let's see what the proposal will be. The only thing I know is that she said she will come. I said I was going to put a wig on her and take her to Jericho Cora.
A wig to hide?
Rodrigo, Italians eat spaghetti daily. Garlic and oil or just olive oil. Carlo's father uses only olive oil. Nothing else.
And they don't gain weight.
They don't gain weight and they walk a lot because they're very disciplined. There's the carbohydrate, but there's also the protein.
They say the flour in Italy is purer.
Yeah. Less gluten, I don't know what else, but it's really good.
That it even makes...
A friend of mine, Anna Christina, same name as my wife, told us this. Anna Christina, my wife.
When she eats the pasta from there, she doesn't feel the same problem she feels with the gluten from other flours.
Sometimes I have this for dinner. I always keep spaghetti at home. It's good. Of course, and a good wine. Really good.
Dinner is a kind of communion too, right, Father?
It's no coincidence that it was at the supper that Jesus left himself for us as food. After dining with the apostles, it was after a dinner. The meal, you know it very well. It's the holiest moment for Jews, the time for food. That's why Jesus was judged. He eats with sinners. How is that possible? The Jew doesn't just invite anyone to his home. This here is sacred.
Because eating is truly a moment of communion.
The Essene Jews, and today we see that Jesus had some contact with them, that John the Baptist did.
There, at the archaeological site of Qumran where they lived, the most important place is the dining room, a huge stone table.
Where
Archaeologists believe that their master gave sermons while they were eating.
So it was during the meal that there was a religious act among those Jews, and this was also true in the time of Jesus.
It's very impressive how powerful the table is, how powerful food is in bringing people together.
Because I see food, a dinner, as a form of communion. It's a kind of communion, though not like the Eucharist.
I drank the wine.
If you drank it, drink more.
It's true, everything happens around the table. Dined with the apostles.
That sentence is powerful and clear, isn't it?
When will you return to Jerusalem?
As soon as things calm down, right?
I'm going next year. The pilgrimage opens June 30.
June 30th?
Guys, I always do Israel and Italy.
But aren't you worried about the war? Won't there be a problem?
Can I tell you something? I feel safer there than in Rio de Janeiro.
No, I understand. I know what you're saying, but it's more tense than usual, right?
But pilgrimages continue as usual. Uh-huh. I'm not scared to go there, and I don't know why. I'm afraid of other places, but there I feel safe.
No, I'm not afraid either, no.
I was bombed by the Israeli army and threatened by Hamas, but otherwise things are fine.
There you go. You went through that, my son. You can handle any storm easily.
But I don't have it either, no. I'll go back anytime, as I have many times before.
At the same time, while to outsiders everything seems unsafe, when you're there you don't feel it. You don't feel it, and honestly I don't either. Maybe it's because I've never faced a tough situation. I don't feel it.
Father, I'll give you an invitation.
Let's go.
It's not Jerusalem, that's too far.
Shall we go to our third act?
Let's go.
Then let's go. You can take that small glass if you want. Should I pour a bit more?
I'll take the glass. Let's go.
Father, we started our conversation. We spent a good amount of time talking about Carlo Acutis. And he talked a lot about this idea of the Eucharist as a highway to heaven. You asked what heaven meant to me. I don't know how to answer, but I wanted to know, in your view, what is waiting for us? Because St. Paulo said that the apocalypse was for that generation, and it didn't come.
Or maybe we didn't understand the message.
Didn't understand the message? Didn't understand the message. It's just that when we're in time, Rodrigo, we always understand things in the temporal category, So we want to assign dates to things.
I always want to date things because I need answers, and the answers have to be in time.
And what is the apocalypse that St. Paulo announced then, or that Jesus announced?
No, the book of Revelation you're talking about.
No, the concept of the apocalypse in Christianity.
Even when he said that the time is near, right? The time is near, but how near? Because if for God 1,000 years are like a day, if we always look at it from the perspective of time, we'll see it's as if everything is as if there were a great conclusion. That everything will end, everything will explode, everything will change. But from God's perspective, Rodrigo, there you go. You just made me think of something now. Have you ever stopped to think that human beings like to destroy things? We always believe that everything will end when we talk about the end of the world. I don't believe that God will destroy the world.
So, what is the apocalypse?
It's a transformation. Apocalypse speaks of a revelation, that which will be transformed. There's a very good book by a writer named Renaud Blanc in which he talks about the eschatology of the world and the eschatology of the person. It's what deals with the last things: death, heaven, hell, paradise. St. Paul says that no ear has heard, no thought has imagined, no eye has seen what heaven is like until we are there. We presume, based on what has been revealed, what heaven will be like. We talk about eternal happiness, about fulfillment. But all of these are categories that in immanence we can't really grasp because we're not in the spirit. I wish I had the answer you're asking for. What we have are allusions, foreshadowings, ideas of what will truly be. Because no one has ever come back here to say what it's like. If someone says they've seen God and talked to God, they're lying. You can have them committed because they're crazy. Or only Jesus saw God. We know God through the Son who revealed the Father to us.
But in the time of Jesus' resurrection?
Yes, there were witnesses.
So what he said at that time doesn't reveal enough about it? Or did he not talk that much about it?
It does reveal, look, especially regarding the resurrection itself, the first person to see him is Magdalene. When she goes to touch him, he says, "Do not touch me, for I have not yet ascended to the Father." The most interesting part is that no one realized it was Jesus.
She saw a gardener.
She thought it was a gardener. He walks and dines with the disciples unnoticed. When he breaks the bread, a gesture only he does, they recognize him as the Lord, and he vanishes.
How do you explain that?
The glorious body cannot be perceived by sight. If we saw a spirit, if we saw the glory, we would disintegrate.
But then I ask, was the resurrection in spirit?
It was spiritual, but Jesus let himself be seen. It's different. He is God and allowed it. Thomas doubted, "Let me touch." I still don't believe it.
When Thomas touches it, isn't it a real body?
An immanent body can only feel another immanent body. It can't feel a spirit. Jesus allowed it, but the point is that he was dead, now he's alive. But he allowed him to touch so that he could have the feeling of certainty he wanted. He is my Lord and God. The others no longer needed to touch.
When will you recognize the Lord? Despite the rejection that happened, and which I think today is less towards the apocryphal Gospels, they agree a lot with the Gospels.
And one thing they agree on is exactly what we just talked about now. In the Acts of John, a very important apocryphal text,
if we believe that he is a Christian, and he is a Christian, and he is contemporary with the Gospel of John, does he have any value?
he says exactly that. He talks about Jesus who chooses the way he wants to be seen.
That's exactly what you said.
He says Jesus would change his appearance, sometimes looking older, sometimes younger.
So it's a Christian testimony that was set aside because there are disagreements at some other points, but not on this one.
And for me, I think that's very striking.
Reading the Apocrypha impacted me a lot when I realized how much they talk about this.
About this resurrected Jesus who is able to take on whatever form he wants. Because when Jesus goes in the Gospels, he goes to the upper room. He comes back after the resurrection event. He passes through a wall.
The doors are closed.
Yes, the doors are closed.
He enters.
Exactly.
So he needs to not be in his physical body.
That's cool.
That's really powerful.
And there were eyewitnesses who recorded that.
And you have testimonies that I regret were ignored, and that's why I study.
And many people are studying with historians who consider the apocryphal texts very valuable.
Because they don't contradict anything about Christianity as we know it, but they add testimonies from Christians who say the same thing.
At other times,
The narratives help a lot in understanding what was revealed. In a lot of things that aren't apocryphal, when you read the Apocrypha, of course there's a lot that's childish. So young Jesus brought a bird back to life. How does that help with my salvation? It doesn't count. It's just a random story. But from this perspective you're talking about, it's really interesting because they, in a way, add something. They just don't have the element of revelation, meaning something that helps you towards salvation. Revelation was meant to help me with salvation. It's the content for salvation, which ends with the death of the last Apostle John. Revelation ends with the death of the last Apostle John, which is a good revelation. All that is essential for our salvation has already been revealed. Nothing more remains to be disclosed.
It's up to us.
Son, it's your choice to accept or live it. But look at how you spoke in such a look. The Holy Spirit was sometimes wind, sometimes breath, sometimes a dove. Sometimes it descended in the form of a dove, sometimes in the form of a tongue. The Holy Spirit is your covenant, the third person of the Holy Trinity. Wow, man from heaven, huh?
Father Fábio, thank you very much. Thank you very much for this evening.
Don't mention it, my friend.
It started in the afternoon and ended at night.
God bless you. Okay, Rodrigo. For your mission to communicate, which is also a way of evangelizing and shaping hearts.
Thank you very much.
God bless you.
Please, Father.
The moment that's missing.
To bless the image of Carlo. To bless this image. And may Carlo, as someone who knew how to use the internet, this platform, to show that it is possible to do good, may you also have his intercession in your life, Rodrigo, and may many good fruits come from your work in everything you produce.
Thank you very much.
God, whose word sanctifies, bless this image of Carlo Acutis, and grant to all those who venerate it, may they also receive from heaven the blessings and graces necessary to lead them to holiness. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father.
Until next time, God willing.
Until next time, and may it be soon, I'll keep the image here. Let me give you a hug, if you allow me.
Of course.
Thank you very much,
Thanks, man. All the best,
See you next time. Don't forget your backpacks.
Don't worry, I won't forget. Arrivederci.
Arrivederci.
I appreciate it. Let's meet somewhere. Amen. Thank you. I appreciate it.